Hello, this is a guy who likes fanfiction and is too lazy to read, so here is Neo Yondaime Hokage in audio form. Check the description for the links to the author. Chapter 66, Life Stories. Inside Naruto's mobile house. Naruto sat there at the recliner thinking about how to start off his story without revealing too much information that wouldn't compromise Naruto's life and safety. To start off, Naruto explained how his Kaa-chan returned to Konoha after learning of Kyuubi's attack and how she adopted him as her son and sole Senju clan heir. Tsunade-sama made you her heir, Tenten asked in amazement, so your name is Senju Naruto. Senju Uzumaki Naruto, and Naruto said, Kaa-chan sees me as her only son, not caring that we're not blood related. Everything that belongs to her clan will be passed down to me as the Senju heir. Tsunade and Jiraiya had spoken about that last night, and that it's confirmed. They knew that Naruto would have a major influence on other elemental nations in his home world. So Baa-chan plans to give you everything she has, Naruto asked. Would that also include all of her loans and gambling debts she owes? Several veins appeared in Tsunade's head as a low growl of annoyance was heard. Jiraiya and Shizune giggled at Naruto's remark. Keep talking and I just might do that for you, Gaki, Tsunade snorted. Anyway, let me continue, Naruto said as he told them the story of Jiraiya's return, leaving out the parts regarding Minato being sealed inside of him. When he got to the part where he explained how Erojisan nearly got breastfed by Tsunade had it not be for Shizune's entrance, Jiraiya burst out laughing. He did that, Jiraiya applauded, that other me is even braver than me to have taken a dangerous risk of that magnitude just so he could get that close to Tsunade. Tsunade looked at Jiraiya and scowled. I'm amazed she spared him for Naruto's sake, seeing the low and disgraceful stunt he pulled. Like me, Naruto joked, Erojisan just wanted to be a fellow partaker of the fruits of your bosoms. Everyone burst out laughing their asses off. Tsunade's face reddened darker in embarrassment after seeing the implication of Naruto's words. That was poetically well said, Jiraiya laughed as he pulled out his pen and notepad and hurriedly scribbled down what Naruto said. I'm definitely using that poetic line for my next book. After everyone get the laugh their systems, Naruto continued with his story. He explained the roles Tsunade, Jiraiya, Hiruzen, Shizune and Kakashi played in his life while growing up. Kakashi listened without interrupting as he heard how his counterpart was a protective big brother figure and role model to Naruto. The Cyclops ninja saw how close the two were, especially when Naruto explained that for several years he wore a ninja mask like Kakashi, though his clothes were a masculine version of Tsunade's clothes. As Naruto told his story, he left out parts regarding his nightmares of Kyuubi and why his right arm would turn red from every nightmare of Kyuubi he'd have. He told the group how Hiruzen practically forced him to attend the academy like everyone else. He explained that for the next 4 years Hiruzen had him stay at the academy regardless of the fact that by the time he was around the age of 8 and 9 he was Jounin level. You were Jounin level at that young of an age, Choji asked, and Sandaime wouldn't allow you to graduate early and become a genin for 4 years. He said it would serve to humble me, Naruto explained. At that time, I was self-centered and full of myself, and honestly, I used to look down on everyone else my age. The group hearing this found the idea of Naruto looking down on anyone in a spirit of haughtiness hard to believe. Though Naruto wanted to prove his worth to everyone, he never sought to prove that he was better than everyone in the view that everyone else was beneath him. In truth, Naruto admitted, my time at the academy benefited me despite the fact I spent most of my time sleeping in class and pulling pranks and jokes. You did that too, Naruto asked excitedly. I had to make Iruka-sensei's class more interesting, Naruto remarked. My god, his lectures were capital B boring. I can empathize with you, Nyakan, Naruto said. Believe me, I can. You mean to tell us that you were just as much of a troublemaking juvenile like this baka, Sakura remarked. Watch your tongue, Sakura-san, Ino warned sharply with narrowed eyes. You're a guest in this house, so don't cause trouble for yourself. Sakura was partly stunned by Ino's reaction but gave no retort to Ino. My father and Ino-chan's father didn't think along those lines, Sakura, Hinata retorted. In fact, our fathers were the ones who encouraged Ino-chan and I to associate and get to know Naruto-kun after they learned he was in our class. What? Ino said in disbelief. Our dad did that. What about Sasuke-kun? Wasn't he there? My father didn't approve of him, Ino said. I did have a crush on Sasuke for a relatively short time. But his character and attitude completely turned me off, and he was as warm as a solid block of ice. Ino and Sakura and practically the rest of the boys were taken aback by Ino's colorful words describing Sasuke. Why did you choose to pursue Naruto? Ino asked. What made him so special besides being the adoptive son of a Chunin? Back in our academy days, Ino explained, he treated Hinata and I with respect, he was fun to be with, he was protective of us, and he always knew how to give us a good laugh, even when the joke was on him. Did he mention that he's a shameless pervert? Sakura said intentionally, wanting to see how the girls would react to that. What's your point? Hinata remarked politely. This caught the group off guard, seeing that neither of the three girls were fazed by Sakura's comment. What's my point? Sakura replied in stupefied expression. Isn't Kakashi-san your Jounin-sensei? Temari retorted. This served to silence Sakura as she tried to come up with a comeback, but nothing was making sense. I like these girls, Jiraiya thought with a lecherous smile. Besides, Ino said, Sasuke did something perverted in front of the class once. That caught the group's attention, Sasuke being perverted, it was unheard of. What did he do? Sakura asked, trying to hide her anxious anticipation of the revelation. Naruto-kun switched Iruka-sensei's notes and got Sasuke into reading a passage of Ika Ika Paradise in front of the class before Iruka-sensei stopped him from continuing, Ino remarked, Hinata and I saw how most of the girls in class got a turn on by his actions and a few bled from their nose. Shino had a raised eyebrow as he tried to logically fit perversion and Sasuke together. Gee, you Naruto said, why didn't I think of that? Because you often chose to pull off perverted pranks yourself, that's why, Shikamaru said. How were you able to pull that off? Sakura asked Naruto, secretly wishing that it happened in her world while Sasuke was still around. My question is, how were you able to get access to adult books? Kurane said. Not important, Naruto said. Anyway, my training and tutelage under Kaa-chan and Ero-jisan intensified during my time at the academy. After I turned 11 my skills were on par with the Chunins. You're kidding, right? Asuma asked skeptically. It's no joke, Naruto assured. Kaa-chan and Ero-jisan's training regiments were brutal if anything. But I wasn't one to back down from any of their challenges, and I did get stronger as time went on. Itaki and Kisame found that out the hard way after they first fought me when I was 11. You took on two S-class missing nins on your own? Hinata asked. Why would you do something that dangerous? I had no choice, Naruto said. They kidnapped Hina-chan and Ino-chan in the attempt to draw me out and take from Konoha. I rescued the girls and told them to head back to Kaa-chan, who by then was already the Yondaime Hokage, and tell her and the others what happened while I held off Itaki and Kisame. That was suicidal, Kiba said, reckless and downright cool man. You. Naruto already knew about the organization of the Akatsuki, though he doesn't know what their objectives are. But can you tell us how the fight turned out? Niji asked. I fought Kisame first in a kunao and fist fight, and Naruto explained. Itaka stepped in and used his main Jikyo Sharingan on me. He used Tsukiyomi to place me in an illusionary world where I would see Kaa-chan, Shizune-chan, Hina-chan, and Ino-chan get butchered over and over and over again while I was crucified and beaten while being forced to watch the slaughter helplessly. That's awful and cruel, Hinata said sympathetically. Itaka was infamous for his cutthroat tactics, Kakashi said. I can vouch for the severity an attack with the main Jikyo Sharingan can have on a person. Itaki however didn't see the fruition of his attack play out as he had hoped, and Naruto. What do you mean? Guy asked. His attack backfired after I overpowered the effects of his main Jikyo Sharingan, and Naruto said. How could you have pulled that off? Kurane asked. Tsukiyomi is a powerful illusionary attack. I have a condition that renders all forms of genjutsus useless against me, and that includes Tsukiyomi, and Naruto said. Therefore Kurane-san, your illusions won't work on me. What's this condition? Shizune asked curiously. I won't discuss that, and Naruto answered, none of you need to know about it. Why not tell me about it in private? Naruto suggested, after all, I'm you. Whatever it is you have, I'm certain to have it also. Not in this case, I'm afraid, and Naruto countered, with regards to this issue, my condition is unique only to me. So please don't ask me further about it. You. Naruto felt rather disappointed that his counterpart has an ability to counter powerful genjutsu attacks and that he didn't have that same ability. Anyway, and Naruto said, Kakashi Naizen, Kaa-chan, Ero-jisan, Jisan and the others came to intervene with the fight, causing Itachi and Kisame to retreat. Why were Itachi and Kisame after you? Shikamaru asked. Because I have many secrets, and Naruto said, several of which won my many enemies. I'll leave it at that. What else happened? Hinata asked. Word of my fight with Itachi and Kisame spread like wildfire through Konoha. Sasuke wasn't happy at all about how Itachi fought me and lost. He challenged me to a fight to test his skills against my own and lost predictably. The team didn't stand a chance, did he? Naruto chuckled, that's putting him in his place. Be quiet Naruto, Sakura retorted, you weren't all that skillful or that good of a student during our days in the academy. My little brother wasn't a bad student, and Naruto stated with a partially hardened tone, he had and was surrounded by bad senseis I'm sure. Kakashi flinched slightly at that verbal jab, especially since he didn't differentiate between him and the senseis at the academy. If my little brother is anything like me and I'm sure he is, and Naruto said, then he would have gotten very far if he had good teachers. Iruka-sensei wasn't a bad teacher though his lectures were dull, Naruto reasoned. Not that I'm trying to put Iruka-sensei down in any way little brother, and Naruto clarified, I'm just speaking in general. If the teacher pays poor to no attention to the one student who needs the most help and fails to provide the necessary methods needed to help that student because of personal spite or because they were playing favorites with other students, that to me makes a bad teacher. Kakashi and the other Jounins gave no reply, almost as though they silently agreed with his statement. Speaking of teachers, Konohamaru spoke up, how did you wind up with Anko-san as your Jounin sensei? There's a funny story to that, and Naruto smiled as he scratched the back of his head. It wasn't funny to us at the time, and Hinata remarked. It still isn't, and Ino said in agreement. The group now became more curious seeing how the two girls were acting toward Naruto now. Tell us what happened, Udon requested. Well, to start off, and Naruto started before a blush appeared on his face, I had a huge crush on Anko-chan. You what? Naruto shouted with widened eyes and shock, you had a major crush on that psycho snake lady. How could you develop a crush on her? You like older women Naruto, Anko smiled toothily with a dango stick in her hand, what about me that trigger your infatuation? You were Konoha's bad girl, I couldn't help it, and Naruto grinned and shrugged. Anko burst out laughing, so you're into bad girls, and Naruto? Shy, strong, and independent types too, and Naruto smiled, anyway, one day I found her having dangos at one of dango shops and I approached her in hopes that she'd answer a couple of questions I had for her. But she rudely brushed me off and told me to get lost. So I jumped on top of her table and took her dango from her to get her attention, although everyone else ran away in fear for their lives. You have balls Gaki, Anko snickered, I'd have killed anyone else for pulling that stunt on me. Naruto was tempted to tease Anko about that remark but decided to continue with his story. Kiba, Hina-chan and Ino-chan entered the shop to see what was going on and were shocked at what was taking place between me and Anko-chan. For a practical joke, Kiba pushed me off the table and straight into Anko-chan, effectively causing me to fall on top of her on the floor and causing both of us to have and share our first kiss, with each other in fact. Everyone with the exception of Hinata and Ino erupting into laughter again. Hinata turned and saw the surprised look on Naruto's face. I wish I was there to see that, Kiba laughed. You shared your first kiss and make-out session with a hot woman like Anko and in public, Jiraiya applauded, my hat's off to you Gaki. That's exactly what Ero-jisan said to me after he and Kakashi Naizen bailed by out of the trouble I was in, and Naruto remarked. Surely Anko-san understood that you didn't intentionally mean for that to happen, Shizune implied. No she didn't, and Naruto made clear, Anko-chan wasn't all that happy about it. She chased me around the village with vipers while shouting threats of death. Kakashi Naizen and Ero-jisan rescued and bailed me out from Anko-chan's wrath, but after their teasing session about the incident, I saw that I was better off with Anko-chan trying to kill me. I later learned that Ino-chan and Hina-chan admitted Kiba into the hospital after he was found beaten and unconscious under unexplained circumstances. So Hinata and Ino beat Kiba to a pulp for robbing them of the chance of giving you your first kiss, Shino interpreted. Pretty much, and Hinata admitted with a blush on her cheeks. The group found that hard to believe. And Ino, and Sakura they would have expected that from, but shy Hinata was another story. That other Hinata and Ino wanted to kiss the other me, Naruto contemplated. They both like the other me and yet they're not fighting and going at each other's throats for his attention like how Sakura-chan and Ino were for Sasuke team. From what I've seen, he's been giving both of them and Temari attention and they all appear to like being around and close to him. None of the girls seem to like me like that and I've always striven for Sakura-chan to like me just like how she liked Sasuke. You. Naruto turned to look at Hinata. I wonder, Naruto thought. Hinata, upon seeing Naruto staring at her blushed redder and turned her head from his sight. So little brother, and Naruto asked getting Naruto's attention, with whom did you share your first dash? I'd rather not talk about it, Naruto interjected with his head hung down gloomily. Seeing the looking on Naruto's face, and Naruto saw that his counterpart really didn't want to bring up the topic. Damn, and Naruto thought, I hope it wasn't a boy he kissed by mistake. Naruto shuddered at the possibilities before returning back to the topic. It was a short while, but in time Anko-chan and I became really good friends. Did you had to go through the trouble of having fangirls? Choji inquired. Don't remind me, and Naruto sighed, even now they still pursue me. I tell you some of them are rather shallow and self-centered. You don't say, Shikamaru remarked while looking at Ino, who shot him a death glare in return. The Nara genius turned away from her. So, Kano Amaru asked while looking at Hinata, and Temari and Ino, you three aren't fangirls of Nyakan. No, and Temari said sharply, we're professional kunoichis, not boy-crazed idiots. Ino and Sakura winced at that statement. However, and Temari added, we do hold Naruto-kun in very high regards if you must know. As a ninja, he's outstanding, dedicated and does his hardest to do what's best for his people, family, and friends. Kurane respected that as she and Shizune agreed with her words. 4 months before the Genin exams, Ero-jisan and I went away for some outside training and we later returned a few days before the exams were given. It went without say that I passed with flying colors. Well, at least you didn't do something senseless like painting graffiti on the Hokage monument before taking the exams, Sakura remarked. Wow, and Naruto marveled as he turned to his younger counterpart, you pulled that stunt too. Everyone in the room sweat dropped as both Narutos grinned mischievously at each other. I take that back, Sakura mentally sulked. Was my fiancé that much of a juvenile, and Temari wondered. Yeah, Naruto smiled, in front of everyone right under their noses. I had 2 jounins chasing after me and none of them were able to catch me, let alone keep up with me. That was until Iruka-sensei caught and tied me up in class. We were given a stupid henge test as punishment because of your prank, Ino snorted. Whatever, Naruto shot back. How did you vandalize the monument? And Hinata asked the younger Naruto. I just painted dumb stuff and markings all over it with multiple colors of paint, Naruto answered. That's it, and Ino remarked, that was all you did. What do you mean that was all he did? Ino asked, you know how much trouble he got into for pulling that stunt. We believe that what Naruto-kun did in our world was much worse, and Hinata said. What could he have done to top what Naruto did? Tenten asked. He painted a giant picture of Ika Paradise on the face of the mountain next to the monument before painting each face of the Hokages looking as though they were having different reactions to the cover of the book, and Ino explained. Everyone's mouths dropped on hearing that. Jiraiya gave a lecherous laugh while applauding Naruto's stunt. The females though weren't at all amused, especially Tsunade. He's more perverted and immature than this baka, Sakura mentally wailed while referring to Naruto. Jisan and most of the villagers and ninjas though got lots of good laughs from the prank though, and Naruto added, I mean, I'm the son of Yondaime Hokage who's everyone's favorite village clown and escape artist. Ero-jisan appreciated the advertisement though Kaa-chan didn't share the same feelings since she chased both of us around the village screaming death threats and bloody murders at us. I was forced to wash the monument despite the fact that I used vanishing paint. Ero-jisan spent the rest of the time hiding from Kaa-chan who want to beat him half to death. You must be a huge fan of my works to have gone as far as to pull such a stunt like that, Jiraiya chuckled. And why not? And Naruto smiled, your creative writings helped me in more ways than one. Woo hoo, Jiraiya cheered excitedly as many ideas of what Naruto could have meant went through his head. What's that supposed to mean? Tsunade asked with a not-so-happy but suspicious expression. Is he implying what I think he is? Kurane thought while having Hinata in consideration. Please do tell, Jiraiya insisted with his pen and notepad out ready and waiting, and don't spare the good stuff. The group was wondering if Naruto meant what they thought he was implying, seeing the feminine company he was surrounded by. Hinata was already blushing at what Naruto could be implying. That may help to explain how and why he's so good in bed and pleasuring us, and Tamari and the other two girls thought, while fighting down perverted smiles and blushes that were trying to form on their faces. What I mean is that his books gave me innovative ideas in using sexual perversions as strategic battle tactics to use against enemy shinobis and kunoichis, and Naruto explained, Warak no Jutsu just happens to be one of my perverted arsenals and most of you here already experienced one of my other types firsthand yesterday. Growls of resentment were heard in the room among the genins and jounins. How could you girls put up with having a shameless pervert being around you? Sakura asked. Because any guy who tries anything on us without our permission would be severely beaten if not killed, and Tamari replied calmly, besides, Naruto-kun saw what happened to the last perverted ninja who tried to pull a fast one on us. He needed immediate medical attention by the time the girls and I were through with him. Naruto knew that Tamari was referring to Jiraiya. In that case, Sakura grinned, you girls have no problem keeping guys in check and in their place. None at all, Tamari said, guys we don't want touching us except Naruto-kun that is. A few days later at the academy, Naruto continued, everyone was paired off with a team but me. I was the only one with no team but my jounin sensei Anko. Kaa-chan said that I was too advanced for the other genins and that they'd be hard-pressed trying to keep up with me and my having to slow down for them wouldn't do me any benefits either. However, a compromise was made in which I would work with teams 7, 8, and 10 during certain missions if it was saw fit to do so. Who was on team 7 if you weren't in it? Sakura asked. This guy who kept making remarks about your forehead and references that questioned your sexual orientation, Naruto answered. What? Sakura yelled angrily with bloodlust. When asked why, Naruto explained, he kept making remarks about how you kept wooing over an Uchiha who has no balls. You. Naruto and the boys broke into laughter, knowing that Naruto was referring to Sasuke. Sakura was fuming at this. Who is he so I can show him a thing or two? Sakura growled. That's not important, Naruto objected, besides he's not your teammate in this world so going after him for things he didn't do would be entirely pointless. Sakura gave a low snarl though she accepted the truth in Naruto's statement. We did a number of annoying and boring chores that my loving Kaa-chan labeled as missions, Naruto snorted, I hated all of them. I share your pain, Naruto said, babysitting, pulling weeds, carrying groceries, painting fences. And that damn cat Tora, Naruto remarked. You and the others had to catch the daimyo's wife's cat also, Naruto said in surprise. I wanted to feed it to one of Anko-chan's snakes but Kaa-chan didn't want a headache from the daimyo's wife about how I turn her pet to snake food, Naruto stated. It's scary to see how despite the noticeable differences, they still act so much alike, several in the room thought. There was also that mission we had in Nami no Kuni with Tajuna, Naruto said. You guys had that mission too, Sakura asked. I was teamed up with Kakashi Aizen and his team for it, Naruto said. So you and the others also took on Zabuza, Haku, Geto, and his thugs while protecting Tajuna and his family, Kakashi figured. Them and a formidable jounin kunoichi from IWA who was sent after me, Naruto added, she didn't care about the others since I was her sole primary target. Kakashi's attention was caught by this, as was the attention of the other jounins, Jiraiya and Tsunade. Even now, there was some tension between IWA and Konoha, especially after the Third Great Shinobi World War. The fact that IWA dispatched a jounin after Naruto specifically placed Jiraiya, Tsunade, and Kakashi a bit on edge with Naruto in thought. If IWA in Naruto's world suspected who his father was, then what kept IWA in this world from doing likewise with Naruto, they thought. Why was she after you? Shikamaru asked. In truth, he didn't need to figure out why IWA would chance going after Naruto if they sought to. After all, Minato's name and legacy in IWA was despised, and if they knew of his surviving son, IWA would seek to extinguish any links the late Minato would have to the living world. My reputation and being the son of a famed Hokage won me additional enemies in high places, even within Konoha, and Naruto answered. Shikamaru sensed that Naruto wasn't telling the whole truth, especially seeing how he evaded answering the question fully. But the Nara kept that observation to himself. The observation was likewise shared with Jiraiya, Tsunade, and Kakashi. "It must suck to be you," Kiba mocked, only to be jabbed at the side by Ino. "Anyway," and Naruto continued, "I defeated her, but I spared her on a whim, seeing that Kakashi Naizen and his team were facing problems against Zabuza and Haku-san in our final confrontation." "I know how this story ends," Kakashi interjected, though no Iwa Jounin was dispatched after Naruto. However, if there's anything similar in that last battle, Haku died protecting Zabuza from Mirakuri, Gato was defeated and killed by Zabuza, and Gato's thugs ran off like the bullies and cowards were after the villagers joined forces against them. The bridge's construction was finished and Haku and Zabuza were buried next to each other in Nami no Kuni. So Haku-san in this world was killed protecting Zabuza, and Naruto thought sadly, a pity that my other self couldn't save her. She was a kind-hearted kunoichi with promises and potential. Except in my world, and Naruto corrected, Haku-san didn't die protecting Zabuza. I intercepted and defected Kakashi Naizen's attack before it could kill Haku by accident. Kakashi, Naruto and Sakura were shocked at this revelation. "Haku's alive?" Naruto asked and wanted for more answers. "She's alive and well. She's lives with us in Konoha and works as a medic nin and Shizun Nichin's assistant," and Hinata explained, "plus, Kiba-kun has a huge crush on her." "How does she look like?" Kiba asked in curiosity. "What good would that do for you?" Niji inquired. "Her counterpart is dead in this reality." "You were able to save Haku and convince her to live in Konoha?" Sakura asked. "That's right," and Naruto confirmed, "and I later on found out what the people of Nami no Kuni proudly call the bridge. And I'm completely certain they call the same bridge here by the same name." "What do they call it?" Sakura asked. "The Great Naruto Bridge." And Naruto grinned. "They named the bridge after us?" Naruto asked excitedly. "No way," Sakura objected, "tell us the truth. What's the real name?" "That is the name," and Naruto emphasized, "the people dedicated the bridge in honor and memory of the hero and his team for inspiring them to protect what's precious to them as they linked with the rest of the world." "That's so freaking cool," Naruto shouted happily as he rose off his seat. "They must really love and appreciate me to have done that in my honor. I wonder if I'm now a celebrity in that country." "Get off your high horse, Naruto," Sakura berated, "you weren't the only one who helped during that mission. There were Kakashi-sensei, Sasuke-kun and myself also. Though Nami no Kuni named the bridge after you," Kakashi said, "try not to let it go to your head. And while it is true that you three and Sasuke were there to help the people," and Naruto remarked calmly, "that doesn't mean that my little brother shouldn't take pride in the fact that far from this village that another country acknowledges him as the hero he always has been." Tsunade and the other Jounins flinched slightly at the verbal jab as everyone else saw how Naruto's demeanor momentarily changed. Shikamaru saw where Naruto was coming from and silently agreed. "What I explained wasn't for my little brother to have a big head about what Nami no Kuni did," and Naruto clarified, "but for him to be proud of the fact that he earned the respect and admiration of a whole country for what he and his team had done for them. Such actions were an all-around inspiration for them and pulled them out of the dampened spirits they were in." Yosh, Guy stood and cheered enthusiastically with tears. Naruto's flaming youth have brightened the flames of an entire country. His dedication to hard work had paid off and inspired the fires of foreigners to fight hard and let their burning light shine with their protective spirits. "Yes, Guy-sensei," Lee agreed as he too stood with tears running down his face. "As a genius of hard work, I too found inspiration in Naruto-kun's passionate flames and his devotion to hard work. I'll work and train twice as hard to obtain flames as bright as his." Lee. "Guy-sensei. Lee. Guy-sensei. Lee. Guy-sensei. Lee. Guy-sensei." The two of them then engaged in a hug with tears still flowing down their faces with the sunset at the beach with crashing waves on the shores in the background. Everyone else sweat dropped at the sight. How the hell did that genjutsu appear? And Tamari wondered as her left eyebrow twitched at the scene. Lee and Guy will always be who they are, and Naruto mentally laughed before something popped in his mind. He kept a collected appearance despite what just happened. In any case, and Naruto said, breaking the silence, I'm tired of talking about myself so much and hearing only my own voice. Let the girls here tell you some things about themselves. I'm sure all of you have as much questions for them as well. Turning to the three girls, and Naruto invited, ladies, please, entertain our guests. N. Naruto stood up and walked past everyone. Where are you going, Naruto-kun? And Hinata asked. I have something to attend to, and Naruto smiled, I'm sure I won't be too long. Please continue in my temporary absence. The girls and the others didn't have time to question Naruto further when he went to the front door and placed his sandals on. He exited the door and closed it behind him, thus exiting the house. What do you suppose he went to do? Anko asked. Our guess is as good as anyone else's, and Ino remarked. Meanwhile, Ryota and Sujiro were still trekking through Sector No Return at a quick pace. A series of creatures in the forest were efficiently killed and posed little trouble for them. So far they were deep in the sector but kept their guards up. This accursed forest, Sujiro spat, I see now why so many don't chance coming here. You don't say, Ryota remarked, still we haven't found any traces of Naruto and the others who were with him. I say we turn back now. No, Sujiro objected, we came this far so we must see things through. There's a chance we'll run into trouble, Ryota argued. You already knew this when you decided to venture into his damn place before I arrived, Sujiro retorted, and like I said before, we have a mission to do and IWA wants the lone Uzumaki. For what? Ryota growled, what's so special about that dead last genin that IWA would want in their nation? And why are we sticking our necks out for it? That's easy, Sujiro replied, because you know more about the lone Uzumaki than you were telling me. What are you trying to accuse me of? Ryota countered, I told you everything you need to know and bring back to IWA. You mean things you only want me to know and bring back to the Tsuchikage, Sujiro pointed out. Ryota didn't like where this was going but she masked it totally, what are you saying exactly? I didn't become a jounin by being stupid and gullible, Sujiro said, I saw that there was more to why you never reported your findings to IWA after all these months and the fact that you told me half-truths and lies about the lone Uzumaki is proof of that. Get your head out of your ass, Ryota snarled, I told you everything I dash. Last night, Sujiro interjected, I saw how you were looking at the lone Uzumaki while he was sleeping in his bedroom before I decided to make my presence known to you. With your lips, you curse his name as the dead last and speak of him in low terms. But the look of endearment you had in your eyes for him before I appeared said an entirely different story that contradicted your words. The lone Uzumaki have done a lot more as a ninja than you were telling me. Ryota was getting nervous seeing that Sujiro was on to her. Seeing how her behavior suddenly changed only proved his point. You grew fond and attached to your target, Sujiro said, you've broken one of the fundamental codes we as IWA shinobis live by. And by knowingly giving me a falsified report to take back to the Tsuchikage because of your emotional attachment to our primary target, I could run you in for treason and have you executed. You and the others should have been executed for leaving me behind to deal with those Akatsuki bastards on my own 2 years ago, Ryota growled venomously at Sujiro who looked back at her unaffected by the bloodlust she radiated at him, because of you and the others, I was blamed for the capture and death of the Jin hierarchy of the Gobi. Mistakes were made, Ryota-chan, and the power of the Akatsuki was underestimated, Sujiro retorted, and since attack team was under your command, the council found that you were the easiest scapegoat to pin the blame on for the mission's failure, especially after they learned that Deidara was recruited by that secretive organization. And no one defended me, the village's pariah, Ryota spat, and all because of my history with Deidara. Yet the Tsuchikage decided to give you a chance at redemption by assigning you to this secret mission, Ryota-chan, Sujiro smiled, however the Tsuchikage wasn't foolish enough to rely solely on you for this mission. I admit that I don't know as much as you about the lone Uzumaki. However, I managed to obtain my share of tabs and research on him and reported them to IWA already. Ryota stayed silent while thinking over what she should do next. Before she could act out what came to mind. Nevertheless, Sujiro added, I'll drop and forget about all the offenses you've done while performing this spy mission and not report any of it to the Tsuchikage, under one condition. What condition would that be? Ryota asked cautiously. Sujiro pulled out a scroll from his pouch. By performing this secret S-class mission, Sujiro said as he handed the mission scroll to her, the Tsuchikage understood that it'll be too much trouble attempting to bring the lone Uzumaki back to IWA alive without Konoha causing too much trouble for our village. Therefore, he stated that this would be a more effective alternative. Ryota opened and read the contents in the mission scroll, which bared the authentic signature and seal of the Tsuchikage himself. When she was done, she looked at Sujiro in disbelief. You can't be serious, Ryota retorted incredulously. I'm expected to go through and carrying this out. You are a ninja, an instrument of IWA, a tool for the village, Sujiro retorted back. You have your orders which came straight from the Tsuchikage himself and you will see to its completion unless you wish to face the consequences for failure. Ryota held her tongue despite her inner impulses. There have been a number of speculations surrounding the lone Uzumaki and my own reports and findings only helped to strengthen those possibilities. If you successfully see this mission through and without blowing your cover, IWA will welcome you back with open arms and wipe clean your disgraceful slate and the one your traitorous sensei Deidara left behind for you. I'll check from time to time to ensure that your mission is fulfilled, Ryota-chan. Ryota snarled hatefully at Sujiro, who turned and took off, leaving her alone in the forest with the scroll still in her hand. Looking back into the opened scroll, she read and examined the contents in it again. The Tsuchikage made her new S-class mission very clear. She was to return to IWA carrying the seed of Uzumaki Naruto, by any means necessary. Chapter 67, Namikaze Girl's Side of the Story. 5 minutes later. Ryota was standing where she was in the forest with the same mission scroll in hand. Closing her eyes, she rolled the scroll closed and placed it in her pouch. You are a ninja, an instrument of IWA, a tool for the village. Those words played in her head over and over again. The more she thought about it, the angrier she got. A tool, she spat in disgust, that's my only worth, not even subhuman. As she started walking in the opposite direction Sujiro headed into, she thought more about the mission that Tsuchikage wanted her to perform. When she thought more about it, she realized that impregnating herself with Naruto's seed would mean more than just having Naruto's child. That would make it my child as well, Ryota realized. A part of me, my and Naruto-kun's child, would be used as a tool for whatever it is that the Tsuchikage is planning. He wants to use whatever child I have with Naruto-kun for his own means. If you successfully see this mission through and without blowing your cover, IWA will welcome you back with open arms and wipe clean your disgraceful slate and the one your traitorous sensei Deidara left behind for you. The Tsuchikage must know something pretty damn important about Naruto-kun to want me to go through with this mission, Ryota acknowledged, and he won't chance having me retrieve Naruto-kun himself back to IWA. He doesn't know that Naruto-kun has the Kyuubi sealed inside of him. And even if he did, a Jinhyur key couldn't pass on a Baijuya that was sealed into an undeveloped fetus upon conception. So what more is there to Naruto-kun that has the Tsuchikage drooling for his DNA? Meanwhile, Sujiro was making his way out of the forest when Sujiro, a feminine voice called out to him. Sujiro turned to see a familiar face approaching, jumping from tree to tree. Tsuchiko-chan, Sujiro smiled, why are you here? Keeping an eye on you and Ryota, Tsuchiko remarked as she landed down on the ground in front of him. My uncle wants to ensure that nothing goes wrong in the mission he wanted you to ensure was given to Ryota to carry out. It's funny you should say that, Tsuchiko-chan, Sujiro replied, considering that your uncle made no mention of you or anyone else knowing of that or the previous missions Ryota-chan was assigned to. You'd be surprised how I can pry information from him, Tsuchiko said. He is my uncle after all, and you know how he is around me. Yeah, a spoiled niece, Sujiro retorted. Whatever, Tsuchiko replied. By the way, while I was on my way here, I found something that you'll find most interesting. And what might that be? Sujiro asked suspiciously, secretly readying to attack should it prove to be a trap. This, Tsuchiko said as she reached into her pouch and retrieved an object that any IWA ninja would recognize off the spot. She tossed it at his and he caught it with ease. What? Sujiro said in shocked. This is the dash. The tri-pronged kunai of the yellow flash, I presume, Tsuchiko finished for him. Sujiro looked at its design and studied it. What would you know about it? Tsuchiko asked. What are you, stupid? Sujiro remarked. This is the very weapon that bastard Namikaze Minato used against our brethren. It cost us our victory in the Third Great Shinobi War years ago. But Minato is dead now, Tsuchiko shrugged, therefore, that weapon is useless. No, Sujiro said sharply, there's nothing useless about this legendary kunao. It represents the very man our people in Uegakuer holds the utmost hatred for, Tsuchiko pointed out. All the more why we must bring this weapon back to Iwa, Sujiro retorted, this kunao is a gold mine for our people. How so? Tsuchiko asked. Our Tsuchikage will have great plans for this magnificent weapon, Sujiro stated as he saw that the kunao was real, this I know. Oh, Tsuchiko asked curiously, how can that be? I thought only the late Yellow Flash knew how to use that kunao to its maximum power. The knowledge of how to execute the jutsu to that weapon died with Minato almost 14 years ago. Then we'll just have to find a way to revive it, Sujiro replied, and if all speculations about the lone Uzumaki are true, then Konoha is in for a great quake from Iwa the like which they've never seen. Sujiro didn't have time to speak or further when a flash of yellow light appeared and instantaneously knocked him unconscious. Tsuchiko stood over him with the kunao Sujiro was previously holding in her hand. Not if I have a say in matters, Tsuchiko said before puffing into smoke and changing back into Naruto. Grabbing Sujiro by his hair, Naruto dragged and hauled the unconscious Iwa away from sight. You're going to tell me everything that your Tsuchikage is plotting and why he's after my kid brother, Naruto said with a hardened tone to no one in particular. Elsewhere, Ryota was moving through the trees when her eyes caught sight of something. Jumping down to the ground, she hid behind one of the trees and peered from behind it to see what was going on. She looked to see Naruto and others resting outside under shaded trees. She was about to focus her earth manipulation to move closer to the group when a needle was shot into the right side of her neck. She fell to the ground unconscious as Naruto shunshined and stood over her. You. Naruto and his fellow Konohanins puffed out of existence, revealing themselves to be nothing more than Kage Bushins in henge form. What were you deciding to go through, Ryo-chan? Naruto said as she bent down to lift and carry Ryota away bridal style. Back at the house, Niji sat by his teammates and sensei with a thought in mind that he had been meaning to ask Hinata since Naruto wasn't around to answer his question. There's something Hinata-sama and I have been meaning to ask you, Niji said to Hinata. And what might that be? Hinata asked. How was Naruto able to create a wind-manipulated version of our clan's famed Kaiten? Niji asked. Yesterday we saw Naruto-kun use what he called Shippu Uzumaki no Jutsu when he ambushed us, Hinata said stepping into the conversation. From what we saw, we have reasons to believe that Naruto-kun created that jutsu after our clan's Kaiten. He did, Hinata confirmed. Naruto-kun had spent much time around the Hyuga compound and learned much about how our clan fight. But he doesn't possess the Byakugan, Niji said, so how was it that he learned the Kaiten? He got the idea of how he could create his own variation of it after my match with Niji during the preliminaries, Hinata replied, I would have at least got the match to end in a draw if I wasn't caught off guard by his Kaiten. Niji Naizen then attempted to use Hakurokya Juyansho on me to its fullest extent. Niji was surprised that his other self knew how to perform the Kaiten that early. So he was aiming to kill you, Shizun deduced. Hinata nodded, while Niji's memories of his own past actions against his cousin reminded him of his guilt and shame. I saw this and I countered it with a jutsu of my own making which deflected most of Niji Naizen's attack, Hinata replied. You mean to say that we both were that advanced even before the finals? Hinata asked with heightened anticipation of what was going to be revealed next. We were, Hinata confirmed. Niji Naizen and I forced each other to reveal our trump cards against each other much earlier than we'd have wanted to. My Shigo Hakurokya Juyansho countered his Hakurokya Juyansho. But because of my injuries from his Kaiten attack, he was able to land a few blows on my Tenketsus. You used Shigo Hakurokya Juyansho to counter the Hakurokya Juyansho, Hinata asked her other self. I created the jutsu much later but the idea of how you used it never even crossed my mind. Until now, Ino remarked, I saw firsthand how amazing it was seeing those two jutsus in action against each other. Well, I always thought Hinata was an amazing ninja after seeing how she used that Shigohaku Rokujuyan show on that giant flying bug and those other insects during our mission to find that scent bug to use to track down Sasuke, Naruto said, causing Hinata to smile and blush. The mission sadly ended in failure. No thanks to you, Sakura remarked. You don't have to rub it in, Sakura-chan, Naruto sighed. Naruto-kun was enraged by Niji's murderous actions against me, and Hinata interjected, so much so that during the finals, he almost went through the act of surgically blinding Naizen after decoying him into a clone bomb that severely injured and immobilized Niji. Not once did Niji land on a blow on Naruto-kun. Wow, Naruto marveled while recalling a similar event. I remembering literally swearing on Hinata's blood that I'd win and get back at Niji for what he did to Hinata. You did that? Hinata asked in surprise, only now finding out about Naruto's act of swearing a blood oath with her blood to win against Niji. Yeah, I did, Naruto said. What I saw in your fight with Niji made me see you in a whole new light. I believe I told you that day I had to go up against Niji. And I take it that you won the match also, and Tamari figured. It wasn't easy, Naruto admitted, but I had an oath to fulfill and I wasn't planning on failing to carry it out. But I wasn't planning on blinding or crippling Niji in any way. Naruto-kun didn't actually go through the act of blinding Niji, and Hinata clarified, but like you I'm sure, in the end he helped Naizen to change his view of himself and others. My friendship with him was repaired and strengthened because of that. Mine was too, Hinata said as she turned to face Naruto. You helped change Naizen and for that you have my thanks and gratitude, Naruto-kun. Thanks, Naruto smiled modestly, but I really didn't do that much if anything. You do a lot more for all of Konoha than you give yourself credit for, Naruto, Shikamaru thought. It's a pity that not everyone appreciates that. Sometime after the Chunin exams, and Hinata continued, Naruto-kun later started studying and analyzing our movements with the Jyuken before he started theorizing concepts on how he could combine his wind manipulation with movements similar to the Jyuken. I was there to help him perfect his experimental jutsu. He has yet to reveal that jutsu to my father, who no doubt will be shocked by its ability. Niji nodded. Speaking of our father, Hinata spoke up nervously. You mentioned earlier that father encouraged you to get to know Naruto-kun. He did, and Hinata replied. He saw Naruto-kun as someone I could learn much from and he welcomed him to visit the Hyuga compound whenever he wanted to, even if it was for tea. I never got that kind of welcome from any clan leader from what I remember, Naruto remarked. With that kind of pranks you pulled back then with your record of cutting class and always getting into trouble, Sakura commented, you were looked at as a loose delinquent. It's only recently some of the villagers and ninjas started looking at you in a more positive light. That's terrific news, Naruto grinned before turning to Tsunade. Get ready to hand over your seat to me, Baa-chan, because my dreams of being Hokage will become reality one day. Databia. I'm sure it will, Tsunade smiled, but you still have a long way to go. With the progress I'm making, and Naruto replied, it won't be long at all. Aren't you modestly ambitious? Tsunade mocked, only to rewarded with snort from Naruto. Is there's more you can tell us? Hinata asked before any tension could start up between Tsunade and Naruto. Hanabi thinks of Naruto-kun as a cute weirdo, and Hinata said, it's no secret to me or Naizen that she has one of the biggest crushes on Naruto-kun, though she denies it. Are you serious? Hinata giggled, finding that revelation most surprising. She was caught a couple of times hiding from view so she could steal glances at Naruto-kun whenever he came by, and Hinata added, causing Hinata to blush being reminded of her own times of doing exactly that with Naruto. Niji had a raised eyebrow as he tried to visualize Hanabi having as big of a crush on Naruto as Hinata and hiding herself from view so she could steal glances at him. The thought was just too awkward for him to fathom considering her age and the kind the girl Hanabi was. Didn't you say that Hanabi hides a picture of Naruto-kun under her pillow in her room? And Ino asked with a mischievous smile. Sakura, Ino, Tenten, Choji and Kiba started laughing at the idea while Naruto was sitting there clueless. Kurane, who knew how closely Hanabi followed after Hayashi's footsteps, found it difficult to picture that little girl having a childish crush on Hinata's love interest. That's cute, Shizune giggled with Taunton in her arms. Do you hide pictures of men under your pillow, Shizune? Jiraiya snickered. Shizun blushed at the accusing question aimed at her while Tsunade shot Jiraiya an annoyed look that told him to keep his mouth shut. It was no secret to Tsunade that Shizun had issues finding a decent boyfriend. "Who's Hanabi?" Naruto asked while scratching the back of his head. "She's my 8-year-old sister," Hinata said. "Huh," Naruto replied, "you have a kid sister?" Hinata nodded. "She spends much of her time training with father. He believes that she holds more potential than I do." "Nonsense," and Hinata retorted with a partial hardened tone, "unlike Hanabi, you actually have battle and combat experiences, and faced dangers Hanabi has yet to be exposed to. You and I have potential in our own unique abilities and we can always grow stronger in different areas. So don't believe or let anyone tell you otherwise, even if that person is our father." Hinata slowly smiled and nodded shyly. Kurane liked and admired this version of Hinata and how she was giving her other self the needed self-confidence and motivational boost. "Is there anything you girls can tell us about what we're like in your dimension?" Tenten asked. "If you girls are as strong as you say you are," Kiba added, "then we must be just as strong." Hinata, Ino and Entamari looked at each as though they were waiting for the other to say something. "Well," Choji said, "isn't there something you can tell us about our other selves and how far we came in your training like you three?" "Honestly," Ino replied, "you guys did come a long way. But there isn't much of a difference between them and us, is there?" Shino figured. Ino shrugged with a nervous chuckle. "Well, that sucks," Kiba snorted. "You're telling me," Choji agreed. Shino gave no reply. In any case, Shizun spoke up, changing the subject. "Tamari-san, why don't you tell us the story as to why you're a Konohanin now?" "What's there to say?" and Tamari started, "after the death of Orochimaru during the failed invasion dash." "Death of Orochimaru," Tsunade and Jiraiya replied simultaneously in shock and disbelief. Everyone else looked at the three girls while wondering if what Tamari said was true. "That's right," Ino confirmed, "Orochimaru was killed during the invasion, him along with a large portion of his army, with 2 unidentified cage-level ninjas who were killed alongside the traitorous Sunin." "Very interesting indeed," Asuma remarked, "so my old man did away with Orochimaru after all." "Actually," Hinata corrected, "it was Naruto-kun who killed Orochimaru and those 4 resurrected ninjas, 2 of them cage-level, 1 Jounin level and the last a genin, after single-handedly slaughtering Orochimaru's army at the stadium. Sandaime never actually fought Orochimaru, which is why he's still alive in our world." The group didn't know how to respond to that bombshell. If anything, they found the revelation like a very hard solid pill to swallow. "Jiji's alive in their world because of Nyakan," Konohamaru thought to himself. It amazed them how Naruto's upbringing resulted in so many events playing out differently in opposed to how things happened their world. But what was done and they couldn't undo any of those events, only live and learn from them. Sandaime had insisted that he fight and deal with Orochimaru and the 4 revived ninjas himself, and Hinata continued, but Naruto-kun refused to listen and decided to deal with the Snake Sunin and the 4 other ninjas himself in his own way. "You can't be serious, Hinata-sama," Niji remarked. "I accept that Naruto is strong and all, but I, along with the rest of the genins, our Jounin senseis, and the Hokages have witnessed Orochimaru's demise by Naruto-kun's own hands," Hinata stated with a soft but solid tone. "We tell you this with no falsity in our testimony. It must have been a most fierce battle," Shino believed. "It was," Ino assured as she, and Tamari and Hinata explained the events that happened during the invasion of Konoha and their world. The group listened as the 3 girls told their story, including the events that happened before and during the finals of the Chunin exams. And Tamari explained how Naruto managed to persuade Angara to side with Konoha while being careful not to mention the issue with the Bujuu he carries, and how Naruto managed to repair the seal containing the monster. "He must be a most skilled negotiator," Kurane said, "to be able to persuade foreign ninjas to side with him against their allies who were in fact enemies his home village. Orochimaru and those Oto ninjas murdered my father," and Tamari said, "though my father and I were never close, but he was the Kazekage and by betraying him they betrayed us, like how Suna had betrayed Konoha before the invasion. That's always why a number of the Suna shinobis lost their lives. Naruto took on a Sunin and 2 cage-level ninjas on his own," Guy thought aloud, "though it was a courage-rouse youthful act. However, I'd have thought something of that nature would have cost him his life." "It did," and Hinata admitted. Excuse us, Tsunade remarked as the rest of the group looked at Hinata awkwardly. Naruto-kun couldn't kill the 4 resurrected ninjas that easily, Hinata stated. He resorted to using an ancient S-class Kinjutsu Oji which he revised to seal their souls away at the cost of his own life. Now everyone looked at the girls like they grew extra heads on their shoulders. He resorted to using Shiki Fujin, Jiraiya, Kakashi, and Tsunade wondered while trying to figure out for the life of them how Naruto was still alive since that the Shinigami takes and consumes not only the souls of the sealed but also the soul of the sealer as payment. The other Jounins were trying to make sense of the story themselves but they couldn't come up with a satisfactory explanation. How can my other self be alive if he dash? A now freaked out Naruto asked in fright. You mean that my other self is an undead zombie? No, Hinata said, he's as alive as the rest of us. But how can that be? Kakashi inquired. Naruto-kun used an S-class self-reviving medic Kinjutsu, Ino explained. He never explained to us the secret complex details of how that Kinjutsu worked or how he created the seals for it. All we know is that it did the job in bringing him back to life. So Naruto is a trained seal master, Jiraiya concluded. One of the best trained by the best, Jiraiya-sama, and Temari added, Naruto-kun never lost a fight. Hearing this, Jiraiya couldn't help but feel amazed at his alter ego's accomplishments in training Naruto. I'm so damn cool, Naruto cheered excitedly. Nyakin is really powerful and strong, Konohamaru marveled. His ingenuity in seals and medic expertise is most impressive, Udon commented. He sounds stronger than the Yondaime himself, Mogi said dreamily. I don't even think he could have pulled that off. As much as I hate to admit it, Kakashi said in a calm tone, I think you're right. My sensei never trained in medic jutsu, therefore pulling off a self-reviving medic kinjutsu of that nature would be impossible. Hearing that served as a motivational factor to Naruto to fulfill his dreams in surpassing Yondaime and all the other Hokages all the more. Though Naruto-kun did all those great things however, Ino added in, that battle and all those powerful kinjutsus he used took a severe toll on his mind, body, and chakra coils. He fell into a coma right after his revival for about 2 weeks and it was only because of Tsunade-sama's medical skills that his injuries and damage to his coils weren't permanent and irreversible. Tsunade-sama and Sandaime strictly forbade him from ever using those jutsus again. Damn, Kiba remarked, those jutsus must have been extremely dangerous if 2 Hokages forbade their reuse that badly. Ino and Hinata nodded, especially since neither they, Temari, Anko, Ryota nor others back home wanted to lose Naruto again. To rectify Suna's foolish mistakes, new negotiations, terms of agreements and treaties were made. One of which was that I'm to serve as a liaison between both nations as a Konoha Chiryunin. Ino and Hinata saw that Temari was careful not to mention the part of her being betrothed to Naruto as part of the treaty. So you live in Konoha now? Tenten asked. That's right, Temari nodded. It still will take some getting used to since I was raised in a desert region for most of my life. How did things play out during the preliminaries? Choji asked. I fought Kiba and his canine sidekick and won, Temari smirked, purposely stating her answer in that fashion. The Gaki got his ass handed to him on a platter, royally. Oh yeah, Kiba retorted indignantly, I bet Akamaru and I could take you on better than our other selves did. Akamaru barked in agreement. I said nothing about fighting you Kiba, Temari said, but I'm sure your style is no different from your counterparts therefore I already have an idea about how you fight. And since Naruto-kun trains the 3 of us, that'll make me more of a challenge for you and your sidekick. I'm sure you recall what the girls and I did to that creature yesterday. Kiba growled lowly but gave no reply. So if I didn't fight Temari, Tenten asked, then who was I up against during the preliminaries back in your world? Naruto-kun, Ino answered, sad to say, it was an obvious one-sided battle, and considering the fact that Anko-san was his Jounin sensei at the time, his efficient execution of tactics were swift, vicious, and cutthroat. Anko smiled at the possibilities of what Naruto might have done to Tenten during the match. Tenten however cringed at the thought and decided to skip the idea of knowing the details of her counterpart's quick and brutal defeat as it only brought back memories of her own painful defeat to Temari. So Naruto is now your Jounin sensei? Niji asked the 3 girls. No actually, Temari said, Hinata and Ino are part of Asuma sensei and Kurane sensei's teams. I was formerly part of Baki-sensei's team before my becoming a citizen of Konoha. Naruto-kun trains not only us but 3 other youths as their Jounin sensei. So why does Naruto train you 3 if he's not your Jounin sensei? Niji inquired. Naruto-kun is very selective in whom he decides to train, and Ino replied, many ninjas, including Jounins, have sought to be trained by Naruto-kun. He turned them all down, including Sasuke. Wait a minute, you, Naruto interjected with a stunned expression, back that up. Sasuke, from your dimension, sought me out, for training. He did, and Hinata confirmed, but Naruto-kun rejected him. He made it clear that he won't train fangirls, fanboys or anyone who'll only use his training and teachings to carry out their own selfish ambitions. Forward girl, and Ino spoke up, started training under Tsunade-sama and she refers to Naruto-kun as senpai. Ino chuckled upon hearing the same nickname she gives Sakura. Even in that world she calls by that name, Sakura snorted mentally before commenting, Naruto-senpai. That has a nice ring to it, you, Naruto joked, I could get used to that. Sakura shot him a look that promised a lot of bruises and pain later. You, Naruto gulped when he saw the look Sakura gave him. The dynamics between you two quite take my breath away, and Temari remarked cynically, what jutsu do you resort to using to get that kind of effect from him? Tsunade and the others saw that and Temari's remark wasn't aimed as a compliment. What's that supposed to mean? Sakura retorted. Where we're from, and Ino said, Naruto-kun would never allow himself to be treated like that by anyone regardless who they are. You mean Naruto never had a crush on Sakura? Kiba asked. Nothing personal against her, and Hinata said, but he made it clear that she's not his type. Then what kind of girls is his type? Ino asked with a huge smile on her face. I believe Naruto-kun already answered that question earlier, and Hinata said. Come on, spill the beans, Ino pressed on, it's not like we can go and gossip about it to anyone anyway. So it'll just be between all of us here. I admit you bring up a good argument and I'm very tempted to actually talk and reveal things that Naruto-kun didn't reveal to you girls, and Ino replied. You mean there's more interesting stuff to your stories? Tenten asked, wanting to hear more of their stories. You have to tell us more good stuff later on, Ino grinned, and don't spare us the juicy details either. Why not talk about it now? Asked Lee inquired cluelessly. Because it involved things only girls appreciate and not to be said in front of you guys, Ino barked. Whatever, Shikamaru replied in boredom, I won't waste my time wanting to know what you girls will want to talk about in private later. It'll just be too troublesome anyway. Oh shut up Shikamaru, Ino retorted. Don't worry, and Ino said, we girls will talk later, without the guys. Ino and the rest of the girls smiled at the anticipation of the things Ino and the other 2 girls might share with them later. There is however, Ino suggested, another story we can share with all of you though. And what story might that be? Tsunade asked as some of the guys took sips of their drinks while Tsunade drank her sake. During the preliminaries Naruto-kun came barefooted and dressed in nothing but tiger skin loincloths tied around his waist, and Ino said with a shrug. The guys spat their drinks out and Tsunade choked on her sake. Hinata was blushing heatedly upon hearing that revelation. Jiraiya listened keenly with his pen and notepad out and ready to write down what he was going to hear next. Kakashi took his attention from the book he was reading to look at the 3 girls while Guy, Asuma, and Kurane wondering if the girls were being serious. Anko had a twisted smile, wanting to hear what the girls had to say. He what? Sakura replied in disbelief. Naruto-kun came wearing only tiger skin loincloths which he made out a large tiger he killed in Sector No Return after he was ambushed by the same Iwa Kunoichi who forced him to remove and destroy his clothes and gear with a jutsu she used on him, and Hinata explained, from what Naruto-kun was willing to tell us, she used a summoning jutsu to gain access and use of a special earth armor that gave her to ability to her way with him as her personal plaything. He mentioned something about being retrained with handcuffs and whipped. Hinata and the other girls blushed deeply at the story being told to them, not knowing yet that there was more to the story than they and the others thought. Anko was laughing her ass off while Shizune didn't know what to think. Tsunade, with the benefit of the doubt, believed that there was more to the story that the girls were soon going to reveal. Whoa, Jiraiya grinned with a huge lecherous smile as he penned everything being said, you mean to tell us that some Jounin Kunoichi traveled all the way from Iwa just so she could get kinky with Naruto? No freaking way, Ino said with shocked expression while wanting to hear more like the others. That's so unfair, Kiba said foolishly with a touch of jealousy. So while everyone else was facing danger and getting killed in the forest of death, Naruto was getting his freak on with some kunoichi from Iwagakure. That doesn't sound like anything he or I would do, Naruto remarked in disbelief. It wasn't, and Temari agreed, he wasn't being whipped for any perverted kinky enjoyment. He was being brutally beaten and tortured with a whip that tore and ripped away at his flesh with each blow and lash landed on his body. The genins cringed at the description of Naruto's horrific experience. During that occasion, and Temari continued, Naruto-kun was still in his 13-year-old form. While in the forest, she had found the earth scroll he was looking for and said that he'd get that in his freedom if he beat her. The jutsu she used on his body through the use of her special armor rendered Naruto-kun defenseless and at her mercy. A normal ninja would have died had they experienced what Naruto-kun went through, and she could have killed him at any time. But she wanted to break him and make him suffer for her first humiliating defeat by his hands during his mission with Team 7 in Nami no Kuni. Remains of when Tsunadeheim nearly beat me to death just for peeking at her in the hot springs all those years ago, Jiraiya thought to himself. It makes the beatings Naruto regularly takes from Sakura look like a playschool activity, Kiba said. Hey, you, Naruto shot back indignantly. Naruto-kun, Hinata said under her breath. Damn, Choji remarked, he must have really pissed her off in the way he defeated her to merit that. Sounds like something Anko would do, Kurane remarked. With that delicious and fresh blood pouring smoothly from his opened wounds, Anko replied with a warped smile on her face as she turned to look at Naruto before licking her lips. Seeing the look on her face and recalling what she did to him during the second part of the Chunin exams, Naruto scooted away from Anko while inadvertently moving closer to Hinata with his arms seeming reaching out to grab hold of something which turned out to be the said girl. A red-faced Hinata for her part tried to keep from fainting again from the close contact with Naruto, who was unknowingly holding onto her. Do I really act like that? And Hinata wondered while watching her alter ego and Naruto. It wasn't until a moment later when Naruto realized what he was doing. He turned to see Hinata in his embrace while her face was directly in front of his. Hinata, seeing her close facial contact with Naruto, blushed even redder. I'm this close with Naruto-kun, again, Hinata thought happily while savoring the feeling of being wrapped in Naruto's arms. Are okay, Hinata? Naruto asked, are you ill? Your face is all red. Everyone's sweat dropped at this. Is Naruto-kun really this slow in this world? And Ino wondered in dismay. I'm sure she's fine, and Temari said, she's probably overwhelmed by your close physical contact with her. Oh, Naruto said before releasing Hinata, sorry about that creepy snake lady just freaked me out. It's alright, Naruto-kun, Hinata assured, I understand. Anko, Jiraiya asked, would you mind freaking Naruto out again? Huh, everyone said while eyeing the Toad Sage questionably. What the hell for? Tsunade asked irritated. Because that was good source material I was provided with, Jiraiya replied while using his pen to write down what he saw earlier, a sexy and skimpy-dressed infamous kunoichi putting sensual fear into the heart of a young impressionable genin, while the said genin finds protection and solace with a young and shy-natured kunoichi who affectionately takes him into her embrace with her awaiting arms and bosoms as he dash. Jiraiya was cut off when Tsunade appeared behind him and slapped over his head. Everyone winced upon hearing the sound of her palm hitting the back of his head. Oh, Jiraiya wailed while rubbing the back of his now sore head. Damn it, Kakashi mentally wailed, just when it was getting good. Kiba and Choji were snickering at what happened while Guy and Lee found Jiraiya's actions unyouthful. Niji scowled at the very thought of the Toad Sage using his younger cousin as source material for one of his perverted writings. Ero Sennin, Naruto retorted with an annoyed expression, have you no shame? Why are you complaining, Gaki? Jiraiya remarked. The vision I saw with you three had live-action dynamics that will produce a future bestseller on the market. Tsunade whacked him across the head again. Hinata blushed crimson, understanding the implications of Jiraiya's words. Kurane looked ready to pulverize the shameless Sunin with one of her strongest genjutsus for using her daughter figure and love interest for one of his hentai books. That story has much potential with an intriguing plotline, Kakashi thought with a smile and blush hidden under his mask. I do hope Jiraiya-sama plans on writing that story. Like I was saying, and Tamari said, trying to get everyone back on the topic they were discussing. The group soon returned their attention back to the Wind Mistress. Naruto-kun managed to break free from his confinements and escape from her with enough time to come up with a plan of action against her and to heal his heavily battered and beaten body, and Tamari said. From the description of Naruto's body, Shino spoke up, surely he would have required a large amount of chakra to repair his body. Naruto-kun resorted to an untested medic jutsu, and Hinata spoke up, its purpose was to completely heal and restore his body back to full strength. The jutsu however went wrong and aged him 2 years as it healed his body. Though it made his stronger and faster with larger chakra reserves however, because of the heavy price that was paid which was 2 years of his life, it was classified as an S-class medic kinjutsu. Any chance of Naruto teaching any of us how to perform that kinjutsu? Niji inquired. It's impossible since Naruto-kun created that kinjutsu specially for himself, and Hinata pointed out, and like I said, it went terribly wrong since Naruto-kun didn't create that medic jutsu properly. Plus he was forbidden from using that jutsu again. So what happened between Naruto and that Iwa Kunoichi? Asuma asked. With his newfound power, strength, and speed, Ino replied, Naruto-kun killed and skinned a tiger for its skin and fur to make a loincloth for himself. When that task was done, he went to find the Kunoichi and beat her to within an inch of her life after destroying her armor and almost all of her clothes and gear. He did what? Sakura asked, wanting to make sure she heard right. I'm sure we all heard the same thing as you, Sakura, Shino stated, it quite understandable really considering the purpose of the Forest of Death during the Chunin exams. And if my memory serves me correctly, Tamari-san mentioned earlier how that Iwa Kunoichi had the Earth Scroll the other Naruto was looking and that he'd get that in his freedom if he beat her. And beat her he did, quite literally. Talk about poetic justice, Kakashi remarked. How can you call that poetic? Shizune retorted. Shizune wasn't fond of Iwa but the thought of what Naruto did was rather vicious. But considered what the Iwa Kunoichi did, most ninjas might have retaliated in the same manner. She figured. Naruto thought about what he heard. Sure, he fought against female enemies before, but he never thought of ever resorting to such an extreme level of brutality against a female. It was ironically really, seeing that Naruto had always been at the receiving end of Sakura's fists for as long as he could remember. Beating a female nearly to death, Naruto commented, that sounds rather cruel. So he pretty much returned the favor, Anko smirked, before leaving her battered body for the creatures in the forest. Not quite, and Tamari interjected. What Naruto-kun did next would have been considered even crueler to some, and Ino remarked. Everyone wanted to hear this. What could he possibly have done to make what he did even worse than the act of beating someone to within an inch of their life? Guy asked. He healed her almost completely, and Ino explained to her that his reasons for sparing her from dying a slow death from her injuries was that he found use for her to serve as his messenger with a message to give back to the Tsuchikage, telling him to never come after him again, otherwise he wouldn't be as merciful the next time. He left her in the forest with his freedom and both scrolls in his hands. He spared her and let her live. Naruto shrugged, what's so cruel about that? His reasons behind it, Kakashi answered. What do you mean? Naruto inquired. His objective was to send her back in disgrace and humiliated, Kakashi explained, for an enemy high-level Jounin to be beaten twice and spared from death on both occasions by the same genin only to be used by the genin for their own personal intentions would dishonor and shame the enemy Jounin. Some would even go as far as to commit seppuku because the shame is too great to bear. Did the Kunoichi commit seppuku? Lee asked. No, and Tamari said, Naruto-kun told me that she had a nervous breakdown and begged him to allow her to die by his hands. Wow, Anko marveled, he mentally broke her that badly. Did he actually went through in carrying out her request? No, and Hinata said, in fact, she later joined Konoha and became a Jounin who occasionally works alongside Naruto-kun. You're joking, Anko remarked, she defected from Iwa to Konoha. What's not to believe? A voice spoke up from behind anyone. The group was startled by Naruto's surprise presence in the room. What the hell? Tenten exclaimed, how and when did you get here without notice? If I told you that then I wouldn't be known as the #1 most surprising ninja, and Naruto grinned with a large smile. You and Naruto here are definitely one and the same, Sakura remarked. I'll take that as a compliment, and Naruto said, that means that my kid brother's hidden potential has yet to be tapped into. Turning to Ino, Naruto said, Ino-chan, will you come with me please? I'm in need of your assistance. Ino nodded and excused herself from the rest of the others as she headed over to Naruto. The pair left the living room and went to their next destination. I wonder what they went to do, Ino spoke aloud. Whatever it is, Asuma replied, I'm sure it's not that big a deal. Chapter 68, A Brother's Keeper. Ino and Naruto went to the basement, closing and locking the door behind them. Did something happen? Ino asked as she walked down the stairs behind Naruto. A lot more than I'd like, Naruto replied as they headed over to where Sujiro and Ryota were being kept in custody. Both IWA Jounins had blindfolds over their eyes with boa constrictors constricting them down onto the chairs Naruto placed them on. Naruto placed chakra suppressant seals on their bodies, making them incapable of molding chakra and performing any jutsu. Both ninjas were also unconscious. Ryota, Ino asked, so in this dimension she still works for Uegaku I see. But who's the other guy you have here? His name is Sujiro, Naruto answered. So this is the guy you were talking about who tried to rape Ryota back then, Ino figured. Yes, Naruto replied, but not in this case. What do you mean? Ino asked. Ryo-chan hates him and several others for deserting her when the Akatsuki attacked and captured Iwa's Jinchuriki of Gobe, Naruto explained, she took the fall for his capture and death while Sujiro and the deserters weren't punished for desertion and cowardice. How did you know they were here in the forest? Ino asked. Do you remember when I stepped out of the house earlier saying I had something to take care of? Naruto explained, they passed by one of the seal detectors I placed around the outer sector of this forest. I teleported to their location and ambushed them when they separated after I listened into the argument they were having based on their bad past and the mission that Tsuchikage wanted her to carry out. What mission was that? Ryo-chan here has been spying on my kid brother for quite some time, Naruto explained, for a number of months in fact. She's been hiding under everyone's noses without being detected once by any one of Konoha's ninjas. She's as skilled in stealth and hiding her presence as our Ryo-chan. Why is she spying on your other self? Ino asked. IWA has some kind of interest in my little brother and I know it's not anything good, especially after I looked through that mission scroll she was given by Sujiro from her cage. What was the mission she was given? Ino inquired. Naruto walked over to small table and retrieved the mission scroll and handed it over to Ino. She took and opened the scroll to read into it. Her eyes widened in disbelief after examining the contents in it. That's right Ino-chan, Naruto said, her mission is to get herself pregnant with my kid brother's baby by any means necessary. Her cage want her to do that, Ino remarked as though it was a hard pill to swallow. The mission scroll is authentic and bears the Tsuchikage's signature and seal, Naruto said, he wants Ryo-chan to return to IWA carrying my kid brother's baby in her womb. The scroll in her hand soon turned brittle and began breaking apart into smaller and smaller fragments. The mission scroll, Ino said as she and Naruto watched the scroll dissolve until nothing but dust was left of it. So the Tsuchikage had a self-destruct seal planted into the scroll, Naruto realized, what better way to destroy the evidence. But why does he want her to carry out such a dishonorable mission? Ino asked. That's what you're here to help me find out, Naruto replied, I'll need your mind-reading expertise to help me out in this. So what do you say? You know you can always count on me love, Ino smiled. Naruto nodded to her as they went over to Ryota's body first. After performing the required hand signs, both ninjas placed their hands over Ryota's head and dived into her mind and memories. They spent quite a while walking through Ryota's memories as the IWA Jounin sat there motionlessly. When they were done, Naruto and Ino retreated from Ryota's mind, taking a couple of moments to process everything they saw from her memories. If anything, what they learned from her memories was a lot more than what they were counting on finding out from Ryota. They saw scenes of Uegaku applauding and celebrating Namikaze Minato's untimely demise after learning about Kyubai's attack on Konoha. The failed mission to rescue the Jinchuriki of Gobi and Ryota taking the blame for the failure despite the team's desertion of her during the mission. Ryuta's mistreatment and her silent hatred for Iwa. Ryuta and the Tsuchikage's office for instructions to travel to Konoha for the being given the secret spy mission and her reluctance to carry it out. Ryuta spying and watching Naruto during his final months in the academy. Naruto's battle and victory over Mizuki. His interactions and D-rank missions with Team 7. His mission to Nami no Kuni with Team 7. The Churyunin exams and Naruto's time training with Jiraiya. The Suna-Oto invasion of Konoha. The battle between Naruto and Gaara. The funeral of Sandaime and several other ninjas who died stopping the invasion. The incidents involving the Akatsuki during the time Jiraiya and Naruto went in search of Tsunade and Shizoan. The battle Naruto, Jiraiya, Tsunade, and Shizoan had with Orochimaru and Kabuto. Tsunade's return and inauguration as Yondaime Hokage. Naruto and his two teammates trying to find out how Kakashi looks like under his ninja mask, only to find another mask underneath it. Naruto's battle with Sasuke on top of the hospital roof. Naruto and the other male genins with Shikamaru leading going after Sasuke after he deserted Konoha with the Sound 4. Naruto's battle with Sasuke at the Valley of the End and his defeat to Sasuke on fact that he held back against the Uchiha. The mission Naruto went on with Team 8 to find the scent bug. Ryuta's watching Naruto sleeping in his room from rooftops, which she did on a number of occasions. Her encounters with Sujiro in Konoha and in Sector No Return. All in all, not once did she return any of her findings to Iwa and the Tsuchikage. I don't know what to think, and Ino admitted, it looked as though from a side spying on him, Ryuta was in fact, protecting him from Iwa. There's no mistake that she really cares for him. It's surprising how my little brother changed her so greatly without even coming in contact with her once. I'll have to do something about her circumstance, once I think of something. To say the life your other self lives in this world is completely different from yours would be a huge understatement, and Ino remarked, both of your lives don't even compare to each other, and seeing my other self stupidly fawning over Sasuke while competing with Forehead Girl over him was disgusting. Ugh, the very thought makes me taste the vomit in my throat. Thankfully Ryo-chan didn't see scenes of Daisuke and myself, along with you girls, and Naruto said, I can say that I better understand my kid brother's life and hardships. My little brother has been denied many things in his life and he has no idea about his heritage and familial roots. It's ironic that I had to learn about his life from the eyes of a kunoichi who's from a village that despises my family. His time with Sasuke was far different than my own on so many levels, though it doesn't change the outcome that he turned traitor in both our worlds. So your views of Sasuke don't change at all, and Ino figured. No, they do not, and Naruto confirmed, and seeing my brother making such a senseless promise to a teary-eyed Sakura to get a traitor back for her sake only served to irritate me further. And regardless of what I or anyone else say, my kid brother will be too hard-headed to listen to anyone about dropping the idea of going after the traitorous Sasuke. So he's as hard-headed as you, and Ino remarked, like your father was from what you told me. Naruto turned and frowned at Ino. She gulped nervously, believing that she stepped out of line and upset him. To be honest, Naruto said, there are some traits of my father I could really do without. Naruto felt Minato grumbling retorts inside him. I love you too, father, Naruto remarked. Minato didn't miss the sarcasm in Naruto's reply to him. Ready to dive into Sujiro's mind, Ino asked. Let's go, Naruto said before both he and Ino repeated the process and entered Sujiro's mind. Back upstairs in the living room. Hinata and Temari were comparing and contrasting stories with the group concerning the events of Sasuke's desertion. Needless to say, they found that their missions had major differences in outcomes despite some of their similarities. So Naruto wasn't part of the mission to retrieve Sasuke-kun, Sakura said. I'm sure if he was, he'd have had no problems getting Sasuke-kun back. But as you two said, he was in Nami no Kuni because of the incident that took place there. Therefore he couldn't help in the retrieval mission. Either way, Temari replied dryly, Sasuke betrayed us and Konoha altogether. He was manipulated by Orochimaru and his ninjas, Naruto retorted, trying to defend the person he looked as a brother. I'm sure that by working together we can get Sasuke back both here and in your world. We can help Sasuke to see that he had everything he needed here in Konoha. What was Sasuke to you exactly, Naruto-kun? And Hinata asked. Hearing this question from Hinata seemed to have caught everyone off guard. They expected it more from Naruto if anything. Sasuke was like a brother to me, Naruto said. We had a bond and he himself said that I was his closest friend. Sure, we argued and competed against each other, but I never wanted anything bad to happen to him. Sasuke was deceived and tricked by Orochimaru into believing that he'd get what he seeks from him and not in Konoha. Sakura-chan and I were hurt and saddened greatly when Sasuke left Konoha, but I promised Sakura-chan that I'll get Sasuke back, no matter what. There was a brief moment of silence in the room. The Konohanins knew that the topic regarding Sasuke was a touchy subject to both Naruto and Sakura. Temari and Hinata saw clearly the sharp differences between Naruto and Naruto when the topic concerning Sasuke was presented. A month ago back home, Temari explained, Sakura asked Naruto-kun if he would help her get Sasuke back for reasons similar to yours. I'm sure the other Sasuke-kun and Naruto were close friends like Naruto here and Sasuke-kun, Sakura said. I'm positive that he promised to help get Sasuke-kun back in any way he can. I hate be the one to break it to you, Hinata replied, but our Naruto-kun has no interest in going after Sasuke for reasons like yours. Then for what reason does he want to bring Sasuke back? Jiraiya asked. That's the thing, Hinata stated, he doesn't want to pursue Sasuke at all. This revelation shocked everyone, especially since they all know how adamant Naruto is about getting Sasuke back. What? Sakura shouted in disbelief, that can't be true. It is, Temari stated, his reasons for his decision were firm and unchanging. But Sasuke-kun's place is in Konoha with us, Sakura replied. So all of you aren't going to attempt to help Sasuke redeem himself so he could return to Konoha? Naruto asked with disappointment in his voice. None of you are going to try to rescue him from his darkness? You guys are just going to give up on him? I thought he was your friend. Friends don't give up on friends. Hinata sighed patiently though Temari was feeling a bit annoyed by the younger version of her lover. Naruto-kun once told us that those who abandon the mission are trash, Hinata replied, but friends who betray their friends and everyone who trusted and believed in them are worse than trash. Naruto-kun made it very clear to all of us that Sasuke betrayed us willingly for corrupt motives and his selfish ambitions. How do you rescue someone who doesn't want to be rescued and brought back against his will? Temari replied, no one deceived him into turning against us and Orochimaru was already dead during Sasuke's desertion. Sasuke's actions were solely out of his own free will. That can't be true, Naruto argued, Sasuke would never betray Konoha like that. My other self and Sasuke must have been friends at one point. Sasuke and Naruto-kun were never close to begin with, Hinata said, unlike how you guys here in this world were from what we're hearing. In fact, Sasuke envied and hated Naruto-kun. You mean me and Sasuke were never friends where you're from? Naruto asked in disbelief. No, Hinata answered, and separating that factor apart from the others, in our opinion, that makes your Sasuke's betrayal worse, especially since you yourself said he was your closest friend and brother figure. And honestly, there can be no greater betrayal than by those who are your closet friends or family members. Naruto and Sakura couldn't help but cringe at those harsh words. The rest of the group just sat there without interrupting. Konohamaru remembered hearing Daisuke making statements to him along those same lines, and clearly Hinata and Temari had the same line of thinking as Naruto, and undoubtedly so did Ino. Please understand that circumstances in our world are very much different from yours, Hinata reasoned. Like we explained earlier, the situation involving Sasuke's betrayal back home involved not only Konoha and Oto, but also Nami no Kuni, Suna, and Iwa. Naruto-kun was set up to be ambushed and killed by Iwa Jounins and Nami no Kuni, who were unknowingly deceived and used by Oto to have Naruto-kun out of the way so they could retrieve Sasuke without too much trouble. These were capital offenses that we and Naruto-kun could not and would not take lightly, especially since that incident nearly triggered the Fourth Great Shinobi War with Iwa, Temari spoke up, and Suna would have jumped in to help Konoha destroy Iwa. Capital offenses? Sakura asked, not wanting to believe what she and the others were hearing. It was that extreme. That international incident forced Iwa to make reparations for their ninjas' actions against Konoha and Nami no Kuni, Temari continued, despite the fact that they were unknowingly used by Otogakure. All in all, you can't expect us and our Naruto-kun to be like you who seeks to get Sasuke back. So all of you believe that there are no grounds for forgiveness and starting over, Naruto asked. There was a short silence that was soon broken. I was hoping to avoid this, and Hinata said, but I'm afraid I'll have to explain our Naruto-kun's feelings in darker details. All but Entamari looked at Hinata questionably. What's that supposed to mean? Naruto asked. When Orochimaru resurrected those 4 ninjas, Hinata explained, they weren't just any ninjas, they were Shodame-sama, Nidaime-sama, Dan-san, and Noeka-san, members of Naruto-kun, Shizune-san, and Tsunade-sama's family. Tsunade dropped her cup of sake and Shizune had an expression of shock and disbelief. The younger ninjas hearing this were shocked by this. Jiraiya and the other Jounins knew of the details concerning Sandame's death after reading the reports from the Umbu who witnessed his final battle with the Snake Sunin, but Dan and Noeka were not part of the story. What? Shizune exclaimed, he summoned my late uncle and Tsunade-sama's late family members for his deplorable purpose. That's right, and Naruto-kun had to choose between his family and Konoha's safety, and Hinata paused momentarily and continued, I can't even begin to understand the pain Naruto-kun felt as he was forced to fight and seal them away to protect Konoha at the expense of his own life. He cried bitterly while doing so while begging for their forgiveness. Since that fight with that traitorous Sunin, part of Naruto-kun's character hardened and he developed a zero-tolerance demeanor for traitors of Konoha as his hatred for people who used others as instruments for their own use before disposing of them heightened. I heard from Ino that Naruto-kun gave Sakura a severe verbal lashing at the Hokage Tower for asking him to help her get Sasuke back, and Tamari added, Sasuke's betraying Konoha to an enemy village that damaged his family's image and hurt him, Tsunade-sama and Shizune-san so greatly was an offense Naruto-kun considers unforgivable. Tsunade, Jiraiya, and the rest of the ninjas present sat there quietly taking in everything they heard. It was unbelievable to them how events surrounding Sasuke's desertion and failed retrieval mission had so great of differences in both worlds. What was more surprising was Hinata's character. Though she was still kind, however, there was no stuttering, shyness or doubt was present in her demeanor, only confidence and self-assurance. Naruto was at a loss for words. Hinata gave him consoling words concerning Sasuke's desertions and stuck by to help him get himself together after what Daisuke said to him. Hinata however didn't carry that same form of sympathy and she solidly stuck by Naruto's decision. When Naruto thought about it, both versions of Hinata helped him deal with the issues regarding Sasuke though the circumstances were different. We're not saying whether or not you guys should go after your Sasuke because it's not our place to do so. It's clear that you're still going to try to bring Sasuke back and we'll respect that, and Hinata said, we're not here to try to get you change your mind and accept our way of thinking. We just want to understand each other's lives and backgrounds. It's still hard to believe that all of that happened in your world, Naruto added, it's said that things played out the way they did. It's not the end of either worlds, and Tamari remarked, so don't get bent out of shape because of it. Who said I or any one of us here was getting bent out of shape because of our differences in past events, Naruto replied, we'll just have to grow stronger and learn from them and make sure those events never happen again. Databia. Indeed we will grow stronger, and Hinata agreed before turning to look at her other self, don't you agree? Hinata nodded. Wait a minute, Kurane said catching on to something, you said that Naruto fought and sealed away Shodame-sama and Nidaime-sama? He fought and killed 2 Hokages alongside the traitorous Sunin in the same fight. So he's a Sunin and Kage killer, Kiba remarked as though what he was hearing was unreal. Like I said before, and Tamari replied, Naruto-kun never lost a fight. It does sound like a far-fetched exaggeration, and Hinata admitted, but considering that I along with others I witnessed that fight, it's safe to say that it's no exaggeration. However Naruto-kun takes no pride in having to kill his ancestral Hokages. You make him sound godlike, Ino remarked. I'm strong not invincible, a voice from behind said, and I'm not godlike either. Everyone turned to see Naruto approaching them with Ino following next to him. I wasn't born powerful, Naruto said, I worked hard for years to achieve the level I'm at now. But I still have much more to learn and I in no way believe that I can just take on anyone without having problems with them. Such thinking would be my undoing. My great-grandfather and great-granduncle did an excellent job in kicking my ass before I was able to get a good enough idea in how they fight. Plus I knew healing and medic jutsus from Kao-chan and Shizun Nichan, which was another advantage that saved my ass in the end. Such humility, Asuma remarked. You don't let your accomplishments go to your head, do you? Pride is before a crash, Asuma-san, and Naruto replied, I'm sure you are well aware of that. Asuma gave the young ninja no verbal reply as he simply agreement with him with a nod with his head. Looking over at Kakashi, Tsunade, and Jiraiya, and Naruto said seriously, I need to speak with you three in private, right now. Can't it wait till later? Jiraiya retorted. I'm afraid it cannot, and Naruto replied, the matter is grave and it must be dealt with as soon as possible. Deciding to take Naruto serious both, the two Sanins and copycat ninja rose off their seats and followed Naruto to the basement. Ino stayed behind and returned to the living room. What does he have to talk about with them that he can't discuss out here with us? Ino inquired. You don't need to know, Ino replied, just leave it at that. In the basement. What's this all about, Gaki? Jiraiya asked before Naruto showed them both Ryota and Sujiro. IWA ninjas, Tsunade acknowledged with a more serious demeanor. And not just any IWA ninjas, Kakashi acknowledged, Ryota the Shining Stone and Sujiro the Diamond Fang of Uegaku are themselves. Kakashi was familiar with the backgrounds of those two ninjas. Though he never actually crossed paths with either of them before, however, the Cyclops shinobi kept tabs on them like he had before with many other high A-class ninjas, and he knew from their records that both Sujiro and Ryota weren't small fries to be taken out that easily. But seeing both Sujiro and Ryota in the position they were in and knocked out left Kakashi wondering just how strong is Naruto. What are they doing in Konoha? Jiraiya wondered aloud in suspicion. How much does my little brother know about his father, mother, and the Namikaze clan? Naruto asked seriously. Jiraiya, Tsunade, and Kakashi had nervous expressions on their faces. Yes, I know that Namikaze Minato and Uzumaki Kushina are my biological parents. And just like with your counterparts, I didn't find out the truth about my parents and birth clan from them but by means of another source. What source that was is not important. What's important is how soon you three are planning on telling my little brother the truth about his heritage. Naruto, Jiraiya said in a calm yet serious tone, I'm sure that likewise in your case, it was for your protection. And just like in my case, Naruto retorted, the Tsuchikage and the rest of my father's enemies from IWA still found out much later on who I was and came after me. And now they're after my little brother. They have a strong suspicion about who his parents are and what clan he's the last heir to. The three ninjas saw that the matter was graver than they counted on. On top of that, Naruto said, my little brother has no means to defend himself against these two. If he were to fight either of them, even separately, he'd lose effortlessly. And I'm not saying this in underestimation of my brother's abilities. I'm sure you three are familiar with the background histories of these two ninjas. Kakashi and the two Sannin nodded. Naruto continued, from what I saw in their memories, my little brother is no match for them in his current level. Plus, from what I saw from the girl's mind, it's said that I learned more about my little brother's life and experiences from the eyes of a former enemy. What do you mean by former enemy? Jiraiya asked, catching on to what Naruto said. Ryota, Naruto said pointing to the still unconscious Kunoichi, is a most formidable fighter and I've encountered her in the past before. So she was the one whom you and girls were referring to who attacked you those times in Nami no Kuni and in the Forest of Death, Jiraiya figured. Naruto nodded and continued, she's been here in Konoha spying on my kid brother since his last months at the academy. She was here under all of your noses without ever being noticed since the time your Sandaime was still alive. Believe me, she knows and understands a lot about my kid brother, which is why she never reported her findings about him to the Tsuchikage, not once did she. Say what? Kakashi asked doubtfully. Naruto went on to explain in details what he and Ino saw in Ryota's memories. The three ninjas listened as Naruto laid everything down for them. That's quite a story, Tsunade said as she turned to the unconscious girl, who'd have thought a Kunoichi from an enemy nation would develop affections for Naruto. They share experiences, Jiraiya realized. She could understand his feelings of being the village outcast, his sadness, pain, and loneliness. And from everything we heard, it goes without say that she's completely attached to the kid, under his breath, lucky brat. There's more to this story that I didn't tell you three yet, and Naruto interjected as he now explained what he and Enino found in Sujiro's memories. The three older ninjas were left momentarily dumbfounded. "Are you serious?" Tsunade replied after she and the others heard the explanation. "So that Tsuchikage sent Ryota on a long-duration spy mission and then ordered her to let the Gaki tap that ass," Jiraiya remarked perversely. Kakashi giggled and blushed after thinking about it. Even Naruto had to bite down on his tongue and fight back a blush on his cheeks after seeing the implication of Jiraiya's words. He wanted to maintain his collected demeanor. "Will you be serious already, you damn pervert?" Tsunade retorted with an irritated expression. "It is what it is," Jiraiya replied, "I'm saying it in how I heard it." "But why does the Tsuchikage wants a child from Naruto instead of having the Gaki killed?" "The reason is simple," and Naruto answered, "he seeks to revive the Namikaze clan in IWA." The three older ninjas looked at Naruto questionably. "Say what?" Kakashi remarked, "but IWA despises my master, even in his grave. Why would they want the very clan they hate revived in IWA instead of wiping them out completely?" "To hurt Konoha," and Naruto explained, "through my little brother's offspring, IWA can begin recreating the Namikaze bloodline, except all members of that Namikaze clan would be loyal to IWA. After some years, the revived clan in their small number would be sent to Konoha under the guise of being nomadic lost members of my father's dying clan. With irrefutable proof that they in fact have blood relations with my father, they would have the opportunity to gain complete access to everything that belonged to my father and birth mother, including their wealth, land, and jutsus. If they were to get their hands on everything that belonged to my birth parents, including the Hiraishin, and returned to IWA with them, then what trouble could that spell for you all and the rest of Konoha, and other villages that would step up to oppose them? They didn't need to think hard of the dangers that would erupt. New generation Namikaze clan members through my brother's bloodline enforcing the rule of IWA would shame Minato's legacy," and Naruto said before his tone turned cold, "Not that this village hasn't already shamed his legacy after all the shit my little brother was forced to live through all his life and the people who were supposed to have been there for him weren't." Kakashi and Jiraiya saw where this was going. "Now wait a minute," Kakashi interjected, "you know there's an explanation for that secrecy. As you already know, Minato-sensei had many enemies not only in IWA but elsewhere as well. Naruto's life would have been in more danger if the truth was revealed to him too early. Not letting him know that he had a father and mother who didn't just birth and abandoned him to fend for himself while forcing him to live through years of cruel mistreatment and abuse for the burden he carries is inexcusable," and Naruto retorted, "I was exposed to a great amount of hypocrisy in this village and it sickened me. They praise my father who died a hero but curse and mistreat his son who's a hero every day for the burden he was forced to carry against his will. And the fact that my brother didn't become a self-fulfilling prophecy in becoming the Kyuubi itself as everyone feared and razed this village to the ground is nothing short of a miracle." There was a brief moment of silence amongst the four of them. After a given amount of time, one of them decided to speak. "We can stand here and argue all we like about the matter," Jiraiya said, "but it won't change the past or the shameful mistakes that we and villagers made. But we can do something about the future which is not yet set." "Right," and Naruto sighed as he calmed down, "we can't undo the past. But the future we can still shape for the better." "So what will we do with Ryota and Sujiro now that they're in our custody?" Kakashi asked. "My brother doesn't need an international incident with IWA like I have to go through," and Naruto said, "he already has enough to worry about with the Akatsuki and others coming after him. There is something however that my brother does need from IWA." "What would that be?" Tsunade asked. "Closure," and Naruto replied, "Sujiro made it very clear that only the Tsuchikage, Ryota, and himself knew of the mission regarding my brother. Therefore, Sujiro will be released on the condition that he delivers a message of closure to the Tsuchikage in person." "What?" Tsunade retorted, "after what we found out, we can't possibly let him go." "Yes we can and we will," and Naruto replied, "in order for my plan to work Sujiro must be allowed to leave Konoha and return to IWA. He and Ryota are in this village unauthorized." Tsunade shot back, "You have no authority to dash. You have no power over me," and Naruto cut in sharply, "Only the one who summoned me to this world can command me and I'm not revealing my summoner's identity or whereabouts. I'm doing this for my kid brother and his unborn descendants' protection. And I'm doing it my way." Jiraiya and Kakashi stepped back away from the pair as they felt bloodlust leaking out from Tsunade, but Naruto looked unaffected by it. "Naruto," Tsunade said sternly, "I'm sure you're already aware that we have rules and procedures in dealing with issues like this. We don't want a repeat of what happened when that diplomat from Kyumo tried to kidnap Hinata. There won't be a repeat of that incident," Naruto said, "and when I'm through, there won't be an issue between my brother and IWA. Your taking matters into your own hands will serve to only make matters worse for Naruto," Tsunade replied. "Don't underestimate me," Naruto shot back, "I gave this a lot of forethought and I know what I'm doing. As my brother's keeper, I'll do what I must to protect my little brother. I don't need your consent for my actions. And if any of you want to stop me, then you'll just have to fight me." Tsunade, Jiraiya, and Kakashi looked at the young ninja and saw that he wasn't joking and that he meant every word he said. "This Kaki is just like our Naruto," Tsunade thought, "and like him, he's not afraid to challenge me." As Kakashi remained silent, he started contemplating on several facts. If this Naruto is as powerful as Jiraiya-sama and those girls explained it to us, we'll be dead before we can execute any form of counter-attack against him. For one thing, this house is his territory and I'm sure it's booby-trapped with seals all over. He knows the layout of this sector of the Forest of Death and he booby-trapped them with seals as well. That was why he able to intercept those two IWA Jounins so fast and efficiently without any trouble. And even if we did attack him all at once, it might not even be the real Naruto standing in front of us. For all we know, this Naruto in front of us could be a Kage Bushin, and if we attacked and dispelled it, the real Naruto would immediately find out and retaliate. Plus, there's more to this Naruto's abilities that neither he nor the girls revealed to us except on the facts that he's a seal master who also performed medic jutsus on levels that even Tsunade-sama could never achieve. He knows about his birth parents, his clan, and the Hiraishin, and I bet my life on it that he knows how to perform that jutsu or have some knowledge of how it works, which would explain how he single-handedly slaughtered Orochimaru's army and those Suna ninjas at the stadium during the invasion back in his world. Fighting him is definitely not an option. Naruto clearly has the advantage over us. "We don't want to fight you at all, Naruto," Kakashi said calmly. "That would just cause too much trouble for all of us, and besides, it would make us look bad as guests in your house if we attacked the host and homeowner." "Yes. Glad to see that you didn't lose your sense of humor," Jiraiya remarked, "but you're right. We don't want to fight." "I'm happy to hear that," Naruto replied, "because I didn't want to fight any of you either." "But we don't want you causing trouble for Naruto and Konoha either," Tsunade stated. "I didn't train nor was I trained all my life to do things sloppily without thinking things through first," Naruto assured. "Trust me, there will be no trouble for either my brother or Konoha. I'll see to that personally." "If Sujiro is part of your plan," Jiraiya asked, "then what of Ryota?" "That's being taken care of as we speak," Naruto said. "How so?" Tsunade wondered. "In Uegaku, an hour earlier. The Tsuchikage was at his desk doing paperwork and reviewing documents when a small diamond kunao on his desk started flashing in and out multiple times in a particular pattern. Understanding the encrypted message, the Tsuchikage opened the drawer of his desk and retrieved a sealed envelope. Unsealing it, he took out the few documents that were inside it. He signed and stamped the documents, having the contents written in them effective immediately as he stood up from his desk to have the documents processed. Present time. The Tsuchikage and Sujiro had a fallback plan to serve as a cover-up in the event Ryota was captured or killed during the mission, and Naruto explained, since the Tsuchikage purposely saw to it that Ryota's mission was never written or documented in Uegaku's archives, it would be easy for him to dismiss Ryota as a kunoichi and citizen of IWA and disavow all connections with her on the plea that she acted on her own without certified ties with IWA and that her memories of being given the spy mission from him were fake and implanted by unknown enemy ninjas. The latest mission scroll that was given to Ryota by Sujiro self-destructed earlier today, destroying the physical evidence that she was sent by her cage to impregnate herself with my brother's child. And as we speak, the Tsuchikage is putting into effect the planned documents dismissing Ryota as a kunoichi from IWA and cancelling her citizenship with that village. So she can't go and freely return back to IWA with Sujiro, Kakashi said. Precisely, Naruto replied, even if she could, after she learns the truth about what I'm tell you guys and how IWA sold her out, I doubt she would want to. And for the record, Ryota hates Uegakure. Like Naruto, she's an orphan and she has nothing and no one there to go back to. And like Anko-chan, she was betrayed by her sensei Deidara, who's also a member of the Akatsuki. That's useful information we can use, Jiraiya said, since he's been tracking the activities of the Akatsuki for some time now. Ryota is better off starting a new life here in Konoha, and Naruto suggested, that is if you're willing to grant her amnesty and 1 month probation. If she's willing to agree to the conditions we set for her, that is, Tsunade pointed out. If it means she can be close to my kid brother freely in public, and Naruto said, I'm sure she will. Jiraiya took a good look at the young dark brown-haired 15-year-old beauty. Lucky Gaki, Jiraiya muttered, he gets a hot woman without even trying, just by doing the things he does. Shut up Jiraiya, Tsunade retorted before turning her attention back to Naruto, but why must we release Sujiro? Sujiro's body puffed into white smoke and disappeared from out of the house. The snakes that were used to bind Sujiro down to the chair slithered into Naruto's shirt sleeves. Because he has to meet with a particular man for the closure, Naruto said. Miles away outside Hinokuni. Naruto's Kage Bushin, using a summoning scroll, teleported the unconscious Sujiro and set him up resting under a nearby tree. The clone made sure nothing of Sujiro was out of place. When that was done, the Kage Bushin placed his hands over Sujiro's chest and emitted a pool of chakra into his chest. Perfect, the clone said before he left and hid from sight. 10 minutes later, Sujiro stirred and gradually woke up. Looking around, he shook his head trying to remember what happened. Yug, Sujiro said groggily, must have dozed off. That's right, Ryota was captured and the signal to the Tsuchikage was sent. Standing back up, Sujiro got himself together and made haste hurriedly to his next destination. All the while, Naruto's Kage Bushin followed behind from a safe distance. Back in Konoha. After the matter concerning Ryota and Sujiro was discussed, Tsunade had a question in mind to ask Naruto. Tell me Naruto, Tsunade asked, is your dream to become Hokage, like Argaki who always talks about fulfilling that dream someday? After a short silence, Naruto answered, if you must know, back home, I am Rokyudame, personally chosen by Jisan and Kaa-chan themselves. Kaa-chan however haven't stepped down and handed her position of Hokage to me as of yet, which in a number of ways is good for me. How so? Tsunade asked curiously, wanting to see more about how this Naruto thinks. I still have much training and learning to do, especially when it comes to dealing with clan leaders, members of both the civilian and shinobi council, the daimyo, and foreign powers, and Naruto explained, like Shizune Nichan, I occasionally help Kaa-chan in her office, but those monstrous piles of paperwork seem to be an unrelenting enemy that no Hokage seemed to have beaten thus far. One of the reasons why I never became Hokage, Jiraiya remarked, only to be rewarded with a snort from Tsunade. As far as I know about my kid brother, Naruto said, he's making progress and I'm certain he can make that dream a reality like how I'm trying to. But he still has a very long way to go to reach that level. Well, we've been here too long as it is, Jiraiya spoke up, perhaps we should return back upstairs where the others are waiting for us. They nodded before leaving the cellar and returning back upstairs to the living room where the rest of the group was waiting. Naruto noticed that Naruto was missing. Where's my kid brother? Naruto asked. Upstairs using the bathroom, Hinata answered, he should be back shortly. Naruto nodded and sat back down on his chair with his 3 girls sitting beside him like before. So is everything alright? Temari asked. Super, Naruto said, we just had to talk business about certain matters. But everything is all cleared up now. That's good to hear, Hinata smiled, we're happy it didn't lead to too much trouble. Hey Hinata, a masculine voice called out. Both girls and the rest of the group turned to see Naruto standing by the living room entrance while carrying something in his hands. Everyone's eyes widened as jaws dropped open in sheer unbelieving shock at what Naruto was holding in front of them. No, he did not, Naruto thought with a look of horror. Is this Nii-chan's loincloth Ino and Temari were talking about? Naruto asked. I saw it lying on a recliner upstairs in Nii-chan's bedroom next to that bottle of perfumed body oil. I'm surprised he still keeps and wears this around the place. Everyone in Naruto's group blinked when the terms loincloths and bottle of perfumed body oil were placed in the same sentence. Shikamaru closed his eyes and shook his head at Naruto's stupidity. Lee, Niji, and Shino had raised eyebrows while Chuji and Kiba were snickering before bursting into a fit of laughter. The genin girls were giggling and blushing hotly from what they saw and heard, but not as intense as Hinata, who looked ready to faint. Kano Amuro was snickering while remembering seeing Naruto wearing those loincloths before, while the three girls were less dressed in kimonos. Udon and Mogi looked back and forth between Naruto and the girls questionably. Anko doubled over and was holding her sides futilely, trying to control her laughter, while Kurene's suspicions of Naruto and his girls seems to have been confirmed. Guy, Asuma, and Kakashi were dumbfounded at the sight of the loincloths, while Shizune was blushing at the idea of what Naruto and his three girls could have been doing together alone. Tsunade turned to look at the three girls and saw the look on their faces. The mixed expressions of shock and embarrassment on their faces said it all. "I knew it," Jiraiya burst out laughing perversely, fully convinced of what Naruto and the three girls must have been doing together while alone in the house, and why the three of them are always affectionate toward him besides speaking highly of him. "I had my suspicions, but you said and did Gaki now makes all of my suspicions solid fact." "What are you talking about?" Naruto asked cluelessly. "Why is everyone laughing?" "Naruto," Shikamaru said sympathetically, "you really shouldn't have pulled that troublesome stunt just now." "Huh? But all I did was..." Naruto stopped short while he and the others felt the temperature in the living room drop several notches as a massive spike of concentrated bloodlust was then felt. Naruto turned pale when he slowly and fearfully turned to see where the massive bloodlust was coming from. "Little brother," Naruto said in a deceptively calm and collective tone as he gestured for Naruto to come closer to him, "your big brother liked to have a few choice words with you about going through his private belongings and showing them off to people without his permission." Gulping for the sake of his well-being, Naruto screamed and ran from the living room and out of the house with his sandals speedily placed on his feet. He barely evaded the viper that came flying at him with a raisonnan in its mouth as it plunged and exploded the ball of condensed chakra into the ground, blowing off a large chunk of the ground in the process. "Come here, brother," Naruto yelled as he came running out of the house to pursue his younger self, with multiple vipers coming out of his arms and raisonnans being generated in the mouths of the vipers. "I have something for you." "I don't want what you're offering," Naruto cried fearfully as he continued running from his enraged counterpart, who was projecting vipers carrying raisonnans at him, destroying trees and boulders from long ranges. "Kage Bushin no Jutsu," Naruto yelled as he created 30 solid clones and dispersed them in different directions all over, hoping to throw his counterpart off track. "You're using Kage Bushins of this number against me? I don't know whether be insulted or flattered," Naruto remarked as he turned and rushed into the direction Naruto went, totally ignoring the clones as they started chasing after him in the effort to slow him down for Naruto's sake. Sad to say, that did little to nothing as Naruto plowed right through them like a hot knife through butter. "Hey, wait for me! I gotta see this," Anko yelled excitedly, laughing her ass off in tears as she chased after them, hoping to see a good show of Big Brother pounding the hell out of the idiot little brother. Plus, she wanted to see the results of the fused Senei Jashu and Rasengan attacks. Jiraiya, Tsunade, Shizune, and the other Jounins chased after the Hokage-level elite Jounin in hopes that they could stop him from poisoning and severely crippling his counterpart for his stupidity. What amazed them and the younger ninjas, though, in spite of this, was Naruto's fusion of Orochimaru and Minato's jutsus, creating a whole new hybrid jutsu. I think that older Gaki being raised by Tsunade Hime led him to pick up her violent temper, Jiraiya thought as he and the others chased after the twin blondes. "Don't go back on your word about being a brother's keeper," Kakashi said to Naruto, whose words seemed to have fallen on deaf ears at the moment. Ironic really, Tsunade thought as she chased after the two male blondes. He went through all that trouble to protect his little brother only to want to kill him in the end the very same day. Back at the house, Naruto's girls' sweat dropped with one common thought in mind: does Naruto-kun really gets himself into this much trouble in this world? Kiba looked at the three girls with a look of complete disbelief. Why you mean to tell us that, you girls, actually dash?" "Yes, Kiba," and Hinata admitted, "that's exactly what we did. We slept with Naruto-kun," though he was evidently trying to prevent that truth getting out into the opening, especially in the way it happened just a moment ago. Hinata was turning shades to red, each darker than the previous, upon hearing her other self admitting to having sex with Naruto. What bungled her and everyone else was the fact that Naruto not only slept with Hinata but Ino and Temari also, and the three girls didn't seem to mind. It was out of sheer willpower that prevented the Shihyuga heiress from passing out from nasal blood loss. "Are you serious?" Choji asked, not sure whether or not to believe what he was hearing. Tenten asked, "Did he seduce you girls or dash?" "It was our choice," and Temari interjected, "we did it out of our own free will. In fact, Naruto-kun was reluctant about it at first when we approached and offered ourselves to him simultaneously." That bombshell shocked everyone completely. Niji had a hard time believing what his ears were taking in. He knew Hinata always liked Naruto, but he couldn't picture Hinata with her shy nature doing something of that nature. Konohamaru was blushing and giggling like the pervert he was. Mogi and Udon were finding the idea of Naruto sleeping with three girls hard to swallow. "Lucky bastard," Kiba thought. "What?" Sakura shrieked. "You three seduced Naruto into sleeping with all of you, and you girls are okay with that? If it was Sasuke, would you have minded if you were in that position with two other girls?" And Ino replied calmly. Sakura stuttered in her words before getting her thoughts together. "We're not discussing me. What we want to know is, why did you three seduce and sleep with him?" "We wanted to strengthen our bonds with him on a more intimate level," and Hinata answered. "What do you mean?" Shikamaru asked cautiously. And Hinata sighed and explained, "Naruto-kun developed issues with insecurities with the ties he made with many back home, ourselves included. This started after seeing the kind of life his other self was forced to live in this world for most of his life as an orphan no one wanted and shunned. Naruto-kun started questioning everything he believed in and fought for. He even questioned the integrity that we and everyone else back home had in him, and it frightened us. We didn't want what was happening to him to get out of hand and turn him into something that would have inverted and blurred everything Naruto-kun spent his life believing in and fighting for. So Ino-chan, Temari-chan, and myself came together and discussed how we could help put some of Naruto's fears to rest in the best way we could. By having a sex orgy with him," Sakura stated skeptically, "a four-way split with Naruto was your grand solution." "Very colorful words, Sakura," Niji remarked in sarcasm, cringing at the visuals of her words entailed, seeing that it also involved Hinata. Kiba and Konohamaru were snickering at the thought while a trickle of blood dropped from their noses. Hinata, with her face beet red, quickly pulled out her napkin and placed it over her nose as red fluid started seeping out. "I wouldn't have ever thought that Hinata of all people was a closet pervert," Tenten thought, though she being a bit of a hypocrite since part of her wanted to know the whole story. And Hinata, and Temari and Ino frowned at the pink-haired Kunoichi, and the Wind Mistress herself was tempted to grab and hurl her fan straight into Sakura's forehand. "For a girl with a large head," and Temari remarked, "you're truly empty-headed." "Say what?" Sakura retorted. "It wasn't meaningless loose sex meant to be a one-night stand, Sakura," and Hinata replied, "we bonded our hearts and souls with his and gave him the best and most important parts of ourselves freely. We gave him our gifts, something sacred to us, as a vow to always stay with him, no matter what. It was our way of swearing to him a promise of a lifetime to always be with him to the end. We did it out of our sincere affections for him." Everyone heard it but was left speechless. Shikamaru saw where the girls were coming from, and considering what he himself found out about Naruto, he acknowledged why the girls acted upon the course of action they chose to take. "Look, I see where you girls are coming from," Sakura remarked, "but honestly, couldn't you three have chosen more subtle way of making such a bond that didn't resort to giving Naruto your virginity?" "Shut up, Sakura," Shikamaru retorted with a voice that had no sense of laziness or boredom in it. "You of all people shouldn't be judging or questioning them about why they did what they did." Sakura was about to give her retort to him, but Shikamaru didn't give her that chance as he continued, "From what I've seen in your way of treating Naruto before and after Sasuke's desertion, it's personally not something I would go bragging about. You may not agree with how they went about deeply bonding with Naruto, but at least have the decency of respecting it. I'm certain that if it were Sasuke in Naruto's place, you'd have been more than willing to do anything for him, whatever it was he'd have asked of you, wouldn't you?" The Konohanins in the room were left utterly dumbfounded at Shikamaru's outburst toward Sakura and how he silenced and put the girl in her place. The pink-haired girl lowered her head and gazed from view without saying another word. She couldn't think of anything valid to say to refute Shikamaru's words or not make her sound or look like a hypocrite. And Naruto's girls were happy to see that there was someone standing up for them, and both Naruto's. Hinata wanted to say something alongside with what Shikamaru said. Swallowing her nervousness, Hinata said, "Clearly the three of you care for Naruto-kun a great deal and were willing to sacrifice and offer something most sacred to you, to Naruto-kun, in order to strengthen your ties with him. Your Naruto-kun is precious to the three of you, very lowly, as my Naruto-kun is to me." "That's right, sis," and Hinata smiled. "Naruto-kun is precious to us, to all his family and friends back home. That's what we wanted Naruto-kun to understand, that he'll always have us and people who care about him no matter what problems or dangers he must face, and that he isn't alone in life." Such youthfulness, Lee shouted enthusiastically with tears pouring down his face as he shot up standing from the sofa with his right fist clenched tightly. "Truly your burning fires are as bright and refreshing as the morning sun. Naruto-kun is most fortunate to have such youthful passionate females in his life to be there for him when his flames grow dim." The group sweat dropped at Lee's outburst, but they found logic in his words. In the attempt to break the awkward silence, Shino turned to the three girls and said, "Thank you for helping us to understand matters involving you three and Naruto more logically. It helped clear and dismiss the misconceptions we had about you four. We can now better understand your manner of interactions with him." "Ugh," and Tamari said, "You're welcome." "Well," Udon said, "this has proven to be quite an interesting day." "Yes, it has," Mogi agreed. "Certainly it was more interesting and enlightening than Iruka-sensei's lectures at the academy." "You're not kidding," Kano Amaru added in. "I wish our time in the academy was more like this." "Well, with all this in mind," Ino said as she turned to the three girls with a large smile on her face, "how about having that girl talk you promised us?" "I certainly would love to hear more about your hot relationship with your lover." Now the three girls were blushing. "But what about the two Naruto-kuns?" Hinata asked worriedly, hoping that nothing serious would happen to her love interest. "I completely forgot that they were still out there," Kiba admitted. That was when a loud yell filled with fear was heard from a distance, which was followed by a loud explosion seconds later. "Our Naruto-kun won't actually kill him," and Tamari assured, "he'll just hurt and knock some common sense into his brother's skull. So relax." Hinata reluctantly complied, though part of her wanted to go and protect you Naruto ironically from himself. Talk about being your own worst enemy. Tenten, like Ino, really wanted to hear what the girls were going to talk about. Though she's a tomboyish kunoichi, there were still things she as a girl Tenten enjoyed talking about amongst girls. Acknowledging what kind of questions and subjects that were about to come out of the girls' mouths, Shino dismissed himself from the group and exited the house. Niji followed close by also, not wanting to hear or visualize anything more he'd regret later, especially since his cousins were in the equation of the issue. Shikamaru, using his rank as a Chiryunin, ordered Kiba, Kano Amaru, Udon, and Mogi out of the house as he, Chuji and Lee headed toward the exit of the house. "Ah," Kano Amaru whined, "but I want to hear and listen to their story." Udon and Mogi sweat dropped at Kano Amaru's behavior. Kiba wanted to hear the story out also, only he didn't voice it out. "Don't be troublesome," Shikamaru replied, "we have to make sure that big Naruto doesn't hurt little Naruto much. Besides, the girls really don't want us around right now." In truth, the group suspected strongly that there was something going on between Naruto and the three girls, but Naruto's senseless stunt served to confirm their suspicions as fact. After the others were out of the house, Ino and the rest of the girls to the three who were the center of attention. "Now don't you three spare us the juicy details," Ino said, starting the conversation she's been dying to hear, "so tell us, how big is he and who got to ride him first?" Hinata blushed a hot burning shade of red she never blushed before, while fighting the urge to faint. As for Sakura, she was shocked that she was sitting in to listen to the conversation when she knowingly could have left the house with the others on the excuse that she was going to help retrieve and rescue Naruto from his still angry other self. But another part of her, which won out the mental struggle to stay, really wanted to know and hear the erotic tale between Naruto and his three girls. And as a girl, Sakura knew that when girls talk, they talk. While this was going on, no one ever noticed the small digital recorder that was placed on the floor underneath one of the sofas nearby some time ago. Later that night, Naruto, with bandages wrapped around several parts of his body, was back in his apartment. Fortunate for him, his injuries were temporary and it was said that he would make a full recovery the next day thanks to Naruto being willing to heal him after pounding the hell out of him. Kakashi had to explain to him why Naruto wasn't all that happy with him after he showed everyone his counterpart's loincloth. The Jounin compared it to someone showing man's wife's undergarments to his friends in front of man himself. Though Naruto saw the unintentional implications of his actions and apologized after the beating he got from his older self, however, he couldn't believe that his other self slept with Hinata, Ino and Entamari. But when he thought it and recalled how the girls have been acting around him at the house during their visit, it all made sense. What was more shocking to Naruto was that the three girls didn't mind sharing Naruto amongst each other, though to others understood why, since they were there to hear the girls' story. Tsunade, Jiraiya, and Kakashi knew of the Clan Restoration Act, CRA, enacted by Senju Tobirama, the late Yondaime Hokage. The only thing was that very few knew that Naruto was the last of the Namikaze clan, and whether or not Naruto would be willing to practice the CRA in the future was yet to be known. Ryota was secretly placed in a holding cell at Umbu headquarters. A sedative was injected into her body to keep her unconscious until the next day, when Tsunade and Jiraiya would personally see if the girl would be willing to accept amnesty in exchange for her full cooperation. If she accepted under the conditions they and Naruto believe would work, then her joining the village as a Konoha Kunoichi would go smoother, though chances of her being accepted by the villagers in general might not go as smooth because of her origins. The rest of the Jounins, Shikamaru, the Genins, and the Kano Amuro Corps had returned home. Like Naruto, they had much about the day's events to contemplate on after being sworn to SS-class secrecy to never discuss the day's events with anyone outside their group under penalty of death. Tsunade looked ready to drink herself to amnesia and a hangover, while Shizune had to be there make sure she didn't go overboard in her consumption of alcohol. And Naruto's choosing to deal with matters concerning IWA while disregarding political protocols left the blonde Hokage worried. She knew something was going to happen, but she just wasn't sure exactly what that was. From what the Genin girls were told in vivid details by Hinata, Ino and Entamari, and how Naruto pleasured and satisfied them the other night, it was clear that their wet dreams had ammunition that would be fueled for weeks. Ino had to take a cold shower to cool down her arousal since the descriptive story was still fresh in her mind, along with other things Ino told her that gave her mind something to ponder over. Tenten was cleaning and preparing her weapons, but her mind was distracted by memories of her girl talk with the others, which proved to be rather frustrating as part of her was now starting to wish she had a boyfriend. Sakura was back home with everything that happened earlier occupying her train of thoughts. Alongside this, Shikamaru's words haunted her in her conscience. Inner Sakura was sitting at a corner facing the wall, unable to say anything. The pink-haired girl wondered if she'd be able to get any sleep with the way things were going. At the Hyuga compound, Hinata was walking through the manor with a peculiar smile on her face. Hayashi wondered about it after seeing the new fire in his daughter's eyes besides the smile he saw. But in the end he chose not to bother asking about it, as he went about his own business instead. As Hinata reached her bedroom. "Why are you so happy?" a young feminine voice asked. Hinata turned to see Hanabi standing behind her. "I just returned from nice time spent with Naruto-kun and my friends," Hinata said. "Naruto?" Hanabi said. "You mean that loud goofball who beat Niji during the finals of the Chunin exams? Even now I find it hard to believe. I used to think that nobody besides the members of the main house could beat Niji. The fact that someone who isn't a genius or prodigy beat Niji was shocking to me. Many people view Naruto-kun as a failure and talentless ninja with no sense of intelligence all the time, and that's one of his strongest trump cards," Hinata said. "How so?" Hanabi asked curiously. "It leaves him with the element of surprise against his enemies and others," Hinata explained. "They never see it coming, which is one of the reasons why Niji Naizen lost to Naruto-kun." Hanabi found Hinata's words logical and easy to understand. "I can never understand what you see in him, and father doesn't think highly of him whatsoever," Hanabi asked. "Why do you like that goofball so much?" After taking a moment to gather her thoughts together, the older sibling answered, "He inspires and saves me all the time." "Huh," Hanabi muttered. "In many ways I see myself in him," Hinata continued. "I can understand his feelings and why he does the things he does. He's proven wrong all those who thought little or nothing of him, and that's exactly what I want to do." He inspires me to never give up no matter how hard things get, to change myself and become stronger for everyone, including you. Plus, to Naruto-kun, I'm one of his most precious friends and that's a bond one want to protect dearly. Hanabi looked at her older sister in awe. Before, Hinata was too shy and timid, considered weak in the eyes of their father and others in their clan and looked at as a failure as a Hyuga heiress. Now, Hinata looked as though she started developing a backbone. Hinata turned and opened the door of her room. She stepped in and... "Is this Naruto really everything you say he is?" Hanabi asked, "despite not being a prodigy like father says." Hinata thought for a moment then replied, "He is a prodigy Hanabi, a prodigy in never knowing when to give up and always trying his hardest no matter what others say or think of him. He has a strong mind and willpower to better himself in order to protect those precious to him and that's one of the greatest things that makes him strong and so amazing to me. He will accomplish great things in life and I want to be there with him when he does. Good night Hanabi." With that Hinata closed the door to her room, leaving Hanabi alone in the hallway with her thoughts. The young female Hyuga turned and retired to her own room with much to think about. While in her room, Hinata removed her clothes and wrapped her towel around her body. She then made her way to the bathroom and washed herself clean. Memories of Hinata and Ino's words to her and Ino were still fresh in her mind after the two girls took them to the side into a private room and spoke with them. Hinata remembered the two girls talking to them about factors of what makes a good and competent kunoichi. Ino though was firm in telling Ino to get her fangirl spirit out her system and to start focusing on becoming a true ninja. Ino made it clear that kunoichis who worry too much about their looks and fashion not only made bad ninjas but were often the ones who were raped or killed first by enemies. Snapping out of her train of thoughts, Hinata got out of the shower and dried herself off. She returned back to her room and placed a clean pair of panties on in her sleeping kimono. Getting into her sleeping futon, Hinata gradually drifted off into sleep, with memories of the girls' descriptive talk of their night with Naruto still fresh in her mind. Elsewhere, Jiraiya was back in his apartment thinking about the day's events. He sat there quietly as he meditated on everything that took place. After all that he saw, heard, and learned, the Toad Sage knew he had to make up a great deal for Naruto's handicaps and that he had to intensify the boy's training seeing that he was nowhere near Naruto's level. And after hearing of the Tsuchikage learning of Naruto's lineage, Jiraiya knew he had to do more to ensure Naruto's preservation with much planning, especially if was to face off against ninjas of that high status like those in the Akatsuki. Deciding to put those thoughts to the side for now, Jiraiya pulled out his pen and notepad before taking out his digital recorder. Playing it, he listened to everything that was recorded from the time he and the others ran from the house to pursue the two male blondes. Though he was moved by the girls' words in regards to their bond with Naruto however, Jiraiya couldn't help but giggle and blush at the explicit contents that later followed. Being a spy master has many advantages, Jiraiya thought lecherously. Replaying the recorder, the Sunin started writing down everything he believed would be useful for his next bestseller. Even in this world, Jiraiya found inspiration for his stories based on Naruto's life. Meanwhile many miles away, Sujiro had been traveling for hours, only stopping for brief intervals to give himself time to rest before resuming his trek to his destination. It was imperative that he meet the deadline to arrival at his destination on time and he wasted no time trying to get there as fast as he could. It wasn't until another 2 hours when he finally reached his destination. He was at a small town that was located at the border of Tsuki no Kuni. He entered a motel and headed up to the second floor. Reaching to apartment door, he unlocked and opened the door before walking in and closing the door behind him and locking it again. Inside the dimly lit apartment, he walked in to see an aged man in civil clothes no older than 43 sitting at a table sipping green tea. "You're late," the older man said. "1,000 apologies, Tsuchikage-sama," Sujiro said as he bowed before sitting by the table. "What do you have to report?" the Tsuchikage asked all Sujiro to relate to him events surrounding Ryuta's failed mission. While in the hallway outside the apartment door, the Naruto clone performed a set of hand seals. After several minutes, the clone picked the lock to the door and opened it. Stepping into the apartment, the clone closed the door and locked it. There was much preparation he knew that had to be done. Chapter 69, Closure. Naruto was in his room thinking about the events that played out earlier that day. He found it difficult to sleep with the amount of information that was circulating through his head. "Can't sleep huh?" a voice said from behind Naruto. The young blonde yelped as he jumped to see Naruto standing behind him with a smirk on his face. "How did you get in?" Naruto asked in surprise. "I'm a ninja," Naruto replied. "Infiltration and ambush tactics are among my specialties." "You're not here to beat me up again about what happened earlier regarding that loincloth issue, are you?" Naruto asked. "No," Naruto assured, "I forgave you for that, so don't worry about that. I came here to talk to you as your brother." "What did you want to talk about?" Naruto asked. "Get dressed first," Naruto said. "I'd rather we not talk here. Meet me on top of the Hokage monument as soon as you're done dressing yourself. And don't keep me waiting." Naruto puffed out in white smoke, revealing itself to be a Kage Bushin. Not wanting to keep Naruto waiting, Naruto hurriedly got himself dressed up and made his way out of his apartment through his balcony. Jumping from roof to roof, Naruto made haste to the Hokage monument where his other self was waiting. When he arrived there, he found that there was no one there. He started wondering if he foolishly allowed himself to be deceived for a trap. "You're here on time," Naruto said from above one of the trees before jumping down to the ground next to his younger self. "I came as you asked me to," Naruto said, "so what's the deal?" Naruto went over and sat on top of monument representing Minato. "Take a seat with me please," Naruto invited. Naruto did as he was asked and went over to sit next to Naruto. As the two blondes sat there, they gazed upon the star-littered night skies with the full moon radiating in all its glory over the village. "It's a beautiful night, isn't it?" Naruto said. "It's moments like these that helps me to have some peace of mind from the hard life I live back home." "A hard life," Naruto repeated. "I have to admit that when you revealed that you were adopted and raised in a family, I was jealous and envious of you. At first, I thought you had everything, things I always wanted in life. But after hearing your life story and what you had and have to go through even now, I see that your life isn't any easier than my own. We all have our hardships, little brother," Naruto said, "some harder than others. Depending on the nature of that person, such hardships could either weaken or destroy them, or it can strengthen and make them stronger and more mature. And honestly, after I gave your life experiences a great deal of thinking after our little gathering, I think your experience through all of the hardships you went through made you very strong and mature, and in some ways, even stronger and more mature than me." That statement shocked Naruto completely. He wasn't expecting that remark from Naruto at all. "What are you talking about?" Naruto asked in confusion. "You're a very powerful ninja. You'd done so many amazing things. And you've endured hardships the like of which I never experienced," Naruto replied. "I've been shielded all my life from the reality that we Jinhyurikis truly live. Very few people in Konoha back home know that I'm a Jinhyuriki. Kaa-chan and Ero-jisan forbade me from revealing my secret to the villagers in fear of their possible hostile reaction toward me. Though they meant well, however, I believe that their good intentions served to weaken me to some degree." "How so?" Naruto asked curiously. "When I came to this reality," Naruto explained, "I was exposed to truths I wasn't used to, the true life of a Jinhyuriki. Though I know of the experiences Gaara went through while growing up in Suna, however, I had no true understanding what growing up had to be like for him or you. Walking a few hours in your shoes through this village after I disguised myself as you showed me how naive and foolish I was. How did it do that? I was outraged at how many in the village dishonored and spat on Yondaime's sacrifice and legacy," Naruto explained. "Kuwabai only served to amplify my rage and disgust while mocking me about how the villagers would show their true face toward me had it not been for Jisan, Kaa-chan, and Irajisan's intervention in being there for me like many others. For a short moment, I wanted to carry out my bloodlust and indignation by slaughtering the people of this village. I even went as far as to question the integrity of everyone else back home, including Hina-chan, Ino-chan and Tima-chan's. I know the girls were hurt by this, but at that moment I was complete lost and distraught." "I think you're being too hard on yourself, Nyakan," Naruto said. Naruto turned to look at him. "You're much stronger than you're giving yourself credit for, Naruto." "How so?" Naruto asked. "You said yourself that you wanted to carry out your bloodlust and indignation by attacking and killing the villagers, but you didn't," Naruto pointed out, you also mentioned how Kyuubi tried to manipulate you into carrying out your rage, but you didn't give that stupid fox the satisfaction of mass genocide. You had a taste of life in my shoes and you endured and learned from it instead of passing self-righteous judgment on Konoha. If you ask me, Nyakan, you're grown stronger from seeing life in my shoes, though things aren't as bad as they were before. There was a short moment of silence between the two blondes. And Naruto soon decided to break the silence and speak sincerely, thanks. I really needed to hear that. My pleasure, Naruto said, I always do my utmost to look out for my precious friends. It's one of the reasons why I seek to become Hokage. Quite an ambitious yet positive goal you have for yourself, and Naruto remarked. Being around good people like my friends and senseis will do that to you, Naruto replied, and though my life started out harsh and cruel, I made many friends both here and in other places outside of Konoha. Do you consider me as one of your precious friends? And Naruto asked, despite the fact that I violently lost my temper at you early this afternoon. I kind of deserved that, Naruto said, what I did was stupid and thoughtless. Sakura-chan I'm sure would have done a lot worse to me than you. Really? And Naruto asked, and what makes you say that? I doubt she'd have healed me after a brutal beating from her raging fury, Naruto said, she'd most likely dragged me back to be healed by some medic nin. Does every girl beat you up for dumb things you do unintentionally? And Naruto asked. Well, Naruto started before becoming quiet for a moment. As he thought about his counterpart's question, a particular girl came to mind. Hinata doesn't. Though she's very shy and often quiet, she has a very kind heart and caring spirit. I remember when I accidentally embarrassed her in front of the group yesterday about wanting to see her clitoris without knowing what it was at first, and she didn't burst into a violent rage and beat the crap out of me for it. And if it was Sakura? And Naruto shrugged. Naruto grimaced, I'd probably be in the intensive care unit even now after Sakura-chan was done mangling my body. Hinata sounds like a very mild-tempered and understanding girl from what you're telling me, little brother, and Naruto said, I see that you really think highly of her. She's one of the reasons why I beat Niji during the finals of the Chunin exams, Naruto said, she always has the right words to say to make people feel good about themselves in spite of how bad their day was or might turn out to be. She did so yesterday too after my incident with Daisuke. I was so depressed and miserable that I didn't even feel like eating ramen. Now that speak volumes, and Naruto remarked. But Hinata found out about the incident and right away sought me out to try to make me feel better, Naruto said, she had just the right words to say to me. And did her kind words work? And Naruto asked. She got me to laugh and return back to my old self again, Naruto answered. I don't know what I'd have done or how I'd have gone through the rest of my day if she didn't come when she did. She's one of my most precious friends, smart and pretty too. I'm very happy to hear that, and Naruto said, it sounds to me that Hinata is a very special young lady and you're fortunate to have a girl like her in your life. And I'm sure you'll find more smart and pretty girls to become your precious fiends, little brother. And in time, one of them or more will take a special liking to you for just being you with a desire to bond with you. You really believe that? Naruto asked. I don't just believe, and Naruto remarked, I know and I'm 100% certain of it. Grinned with a thumbs up, Databia. You. Naruto laughed and gave him a thumbs up in return. I'm sure those three girls with you are very special and fond of you. I will admit that I still find it hard to believe that you're sleeping with them with neither of them fighting over you. I know Ero Sennin won't let you hear the end of it. It's complicated really, and Naruto said, and it would take too much time to explain the entire story, some of it rather touchy. It's alright, Naruto assured, you don't have to tell me if you don't want to. It's not a matter of not wanting to, little brother, it's a matter of understanding how things turned out in my world in contrast with how things turned out here. You. Naruto gave no reply as he turned to look back at Konoha again. Deciding to change the subject, and Naruto thought about what he was about to do and the possible consequences for the course of action he was about to take. After giving it more thought he came to a decision. Little brother, and Naruto said as he reached into his pocket and retrieved a small picture from it, take a look at this. You. Naruto and took the picture from his older counterpart. Looking at the picture curiously, he saw a smiling beautiful young woman with long red hair that went down her back to the back of her kneecaps. She was dressed in a dark blue gown with a white short-sleeve shirt underneath it. "Why are you showing me this?" Naruto asked, "and who's she supposed to be?" "Her name was Kushina," and Naruto replied calmly, "Uzumaki Kushina. She was our birth mother." "You?" Naruto's eyes widened like dish plates. "What did you say?" Naruto shouted with his attention being completely focused on Naruto. "She was our birth mother." "That's right," Naruto confirmed. Looking back at the picture, Naruto felt a sea of emotions coursing through his being. Fighting to keep his feelings under control, Naruto looked at his other self and asked, "Do you know anything about her? Please, tell whatever it is you know about our Kaa-chan. Even if it's very little. What was she like? What happened to her dash?" "Calm down," Naruto said, "I tell you what I can explain to you, just keep yourself calm." Naruto saw the look on Naruto's face. He saw that the young boy never knew anything about his parents or his clan or heritage. It was clear that the young Naruto wanted to learn whatever he could about his roots. Uzumaki Kushina was a foreigner and refugee from Uzunokuni. Her home village was destroyed by IWA during the Third Shinobi World War, and her family, the Uzumaki family, was killed by enemy ninjas from IWA. She was very young, younger than your age, when she became a war orphan and was brought to Konoha as a refugee. While in Konoha, she trained very hard to become a strong Jounin Kunoichi. In terms of her character and personality, well, from what I've seen of you, you're a lot like her." "What?" Naruto replied in disbelief. "You mean to say that I act just like our Kaa-chan?" "Precisely," Naruto stated. "From what I found out, she was a loud, brash, and cocky tomboy. At the same time though, she was also a kind, caring and loving woman. Somehow I doubt many people know of Kushina or the man she married in this world. My guess is that she and father married in secret, but that's just my guess. Still though, she was happily looking forward to having a child after she became pregnant with us." "Us?" Naruto asked with a confused look. "You mean she had twins?" "When I say us, I'm referring to you and myself at same time, because I'm sure that the situation was very much the same here in this world," and Naruto explained, "but things took a turn for the worst when Kyuubi attacked Konoha. We were born that very night, in fact we were the only ones born that night. Our mother though died in childbirth due to medical complications, heavy anxiety, and stress from Kyuubi's attack. She died while cradling us protectively in her arms. Father was devastated when he learned of our mother's demise." "Where was father in all this?" Naruto asked while wiping away his tears. "Fighting the Kyuubi on the front line after so many others died either trying to stop it or getting caught in the monster's path," and Naruto said, "Our father wanted Kyuubi defeated and beaten for ruining everything he had. He wanted you safe and your survival assured. But Kyuubi was too strong to be stopped that easily. With no other choice, all other options exhausted, Yondaime, with a pained and heavy heart and knowing he would die for what he was about to do, resorted to entrusting us with the heavy burden of jailing the Kyuubi as a jinhiriki. Yondaime's dying wish was for us to be seen as the hero. He jails Kyuubi and prevents it harming anyone. Our father died that very night and that final wish was not honored." "You?" Naruto sobbed a few times while he was wiping away his tears. He absorbed the information he was being told by his big brother. Sadly, however, it didn't click in Naruto's mind that Yondaime was his father. He took it that Yondaime sealed Kyuubi into him after the death of both his father and mother. He assumed that since Naruto believed that their birth mother married in secret, that he too didn't know the identity of their biological father. "Our parents loved us and wanted nothing but our protection and happiness," and Naruto said, "I'm sure they'd be proud of the man you're growing to be." "You?" Naruto didn't know what to think or feel. All his life he never knew about his parents or familial roots. Knowing now that he had blood ancestors who were from another country although they were killed gave the young Uzumaki a strong sense of familial belonging. Knowing what happened to his parents removed ideas that he was abandoned as an infant and that Yondaime randomly selected him to become the jinhiriki while as a newborn. "If what you say is true," Naruto asked, "why wasn't I ever told about this? How could it be that no one knows our mother, seeing that she came residing here as a refugee from Uzunokuni and later married a ninja from this village?" "From what I was told," and Naruto said, "our father was a very strong ninja and he was also a man who made too many enemies, both outside and within Konoha walls. I guess they were trying to prevent his enemies from becoming our enemies, but this village's mistreatment and abuse of you made me wonder just who were the real enemies. Well, Naruto replied, Konoha isn't as harsh to me like it was before. Things started getting better for me after the Chunin exams. 13 to 14 years wasted by these villagers for stupidly using you as a scapegoat in my opinion, and Naruto remarked. You still harbor animosity towards this reality's Konoha, do you? Naruto said. Forgive me for not being too readily forgiving as you, and Naruto said, like said before, I never lived your life and you never lived mine. But of course, that doesn't mean that we can't have some sort of understanding between each other. No, it doesn't, Naruto smiled before jumping and hugging Naruto with teary eyes, thank you Nii-chan. It was hard living life not knowing anything about our Ka-chan and family's backgrounds and past. Naruto hugged his other self back in return, my pleasure little brother. I'm sure you'd have done the same for me. And why wouldn't I, Naruto remarked, I'm you after all, but what? Naruto asked. Can I keep the picture? Naruto asked nervously, I really don't have anything of dash. It's yours, Naruto smiled, I'm sorry that I don't have any other picture of dash. It's perfect, Naruto cut in, it's one of the best gifts you or anyone else could have given to me. I'll always treasure this picture of Ka-chan. Naruto ruffled Naruto's hair, our mother would have treasured us just as much, if not more. Naruto rose up off the ground and turned in the opposite directions of the village. Where are you going Nii-chan? Naruto asked, not wanting Naruto to leave. I have some business to attend to, Naruto answered, it's something that requires my attention. You can't stay longer, Naruto said, trying his hardest to hide the sadness in his voice. I'm sorry I can't, Naruto said, but I'll make it up to you. How? Naruto said. I'm sure I'll think of something, Naruto grinned, see ya. Naruto performed a smokeless shunshin and left the monument, leaving Naruto deep in thought. Turning his attention back to the picture, Naruto hugged it tightly to his chest. Ka-chan, Naruto said in low undertone with a few tears streaming down his face. 3 hours later, in the border of Tsuki no Kuni. The Tsuchikage and Sujiro stepped out of the motel room and locked the door behind them. In the Tsuchikage's pocket were 2 scrolls, both containing items sealed into them. The 2 ninjas headed downstairs and signed out the room they were using before making a swift departure from the motel to Uegakure. 2 hours later, in Uegakure. The Tsuchikage and Sujiro made it to Iwa without trouble. They were a half a mile away from the wall of the village. The landscape itself was rocky and surrounded by partly grassy hills with rocks and stones of various forms and sizes around whole region, some of those rocks were covered with moss. Pulling out another scroll, the Tsuchikage unraveled and placed it down on the ground, revealing a seal written on it. Performing a hand sign, he performed a jutsu causing a cloud of white smoke to burst forth from the seal on the scroll. When the smoke cleared it revealed Naruto, Hinata, Ino and Temari, no longer wearing their kimonos but their ninja clothes and gear. What a way to travel, Temari remarked while looking around her surroundings, so this is Uegakure. That's right from the look of things, Naruto said. The Tsuchikage and Sujiro released their henge and revealed themselves as Naruto's Kage Bushins. The first one rolled up the scroll and handed it to Naruto. The Kage Bushin also took out and handed him the 2 other scrolls that were in his vest pocket. Is everything in order? Naruto asked the clone. Down to every last specification, the clone said before him and his other doppelganger puffing out of existence, giving Naruto all of the information that was needed. After a few minutes of processing the memories given to him, Naruto took a breath and exhaled. Perfect, Naruto replied to him before turning to Hinata, Hina-chan, would you be so kind as to scan our surroundings? Hinata nodded, Byakugan. Activating her bloodline limit, the young Hyuga scanned the surrounding region and found that they were in the clear. There's no sign of Iwa Jounins patrolling the area, Hinata said. Good, Naruto said, we don't need unwanted company. Hinata continued her surveillance and found 6 Iwa Jounins standing guard at the main entrance into the village. There's 6 Jounins guarding the main entrance, Hinata said, looks like we won't be going through the front door that easily. We won't be going through the front door, Naruto replied, "We'll enter the village by means of another entrance." "Where?" Temari asked. "This way," Naruto said as he led the three girls to the west side of the village. 24 minutes later, the group, finding what they were looking for, saw a large rock slab resting solidly on the ground. "Ino-chan," Naruto requested, "if you please." Nodding, Ino performed the required hand signs and triggered the large slab to move and swing open, revealing the staircase into the tunnel. "A secret passageway," Hinata said, stating the obvious. Ryota created this secretly in the event of an emergency when she needed an escape from the village or entrance into it, Ino explained. "This secret route is an underground tunnel which starts from within this location and ends underneath the basement of an old demolished storage house inside the village." Naruto-kun and I learned about this after reading Ryota's mind. Naruto made a Kage Bushin. "Alright," Naruto said, "we'll need you to stand guard here at the entrance and be our eyes and ears for us." Naruto's clone nodded as he took his position hiding in the shadows. Naruto, pulling out and turning on his small flashlight, entered the tunnel with the girls behind him. The lights to the tunnel turned on seconds later, revealing the passageway through the tunnel more clearly. "That's a time saver," Temari remarked while they continued on their way through the tunnel. It wasn't until another 15 minutes of walking and turning into several corners when they arrived at the end of the tunnel. "Hina-chan," Naruto asked. Understanding his request, Hinata did as she was asked. "Byakugan," Hinata said, using her bloodline limit to scan the surface and outside sector of the building they were underneath. A few moments later. "It's clear," Hinata explained, "there's no one in or around the building. It's safe to enter." Nodding, Naruto turned to Ino. Ino stepped forward and performed the next set of required hand signs. After she did, the floor to the basement opened, giving them an exit into the run-down building, thus into the village. They climbed up the stairs and entered the basement of the building. The group saw that their infiltration into IWA was successful so far. Now they had to make their way into the Tsuchikage Tower without being detected. Summoning 2 more Kage Bushins, Naruto stationed them by the entrance before giving each of the girls communication devices to place into their ears. The group then left the basement and made their way to the top floor and up to the roof. While standing on the roof, Hinata surveyed their surroundings. "There's a good number of Chiryunins and Jounins patrolling around the region closer to the tower," Hinata explained. "What else do you see?" Naruto inquired. "The tower is heavily guarded," Hinata continued. "There's a large wall also surrounding the tower and Jounin ninjas are stationed at each corner of the wall. The entrance of the wall has 4 Boulder Black Ops ninjas with 2 dogs posted with them. After working alongside Kiba and Akamaru for some time, I'm assuming that those 2 dogs were specially trained, and should those dogs pick up the smell of our body odors if we were to try to enter through the entrance in henge forms, our cover is blown. Masking our body odor with an odorless oil will trigger the same thing if we walk through the entrance in henge form also," Temari deduced. "So what now?" "Let's move closer to the wall of the tower," Naruto suggested. The girls followed Naruto as they leapt from one rooftop to another, keeping their pace and using their training in stealth so as to not get caught. Soon they came to a stop atop one of the buildings that happened to be 8 stories high. Looking around, Ino found a raven standing on the ledge of the building. Seeing what caught Ino's attention, Naruto came up with an idea. "Hina-chan," Naruto instructed, "remain here as our watchful eyes with Tima-chan. Ino-chan and I will travel to the tower." "How do you both plan on bypassing all of their security?" Temari asked. "By ascending over them," Naruto replied, causing Temari to look at him quizzically. "Ino-chan," Naruto said as he turned to her, "use that mind transfer jutsu of yours on that bird over there." Nodding, Ino performed her familial hand sign and transferred her chakra essence into the raven. Her body went limp before Temari caught and sat her down on the ground up against the ledge. Naruto then hinged into a wooden twig on the ground. Catching on to what Naruto had in mind, Ino, using the body of the raven, fly over to the twig Naruto hinged into and grabbed hold of it with its beak. With Naruto held tightly, Ino flew with him from the roof and over to the Tsuchikage Tower. "That was a genius idea," Temari remarked. "Naruto-kun has that habit of planning things as he goes," Hinata replied as she and Temari watched Ino flew past the remaining buildings and over the wall of the tower. The ninja guards there ignored the raven as nothing more than a harmless animal. "So far so good," Ino thought while making her flight over to the balcony area of the tower where the Tsuchikage's office was. Landing down, Ino carefully placed the twig down on the ground and moved away from it before Naruto changed back to normal. "Excellent," Naruto said before moving toward the door carefully while leaning up against the wall. Peering through the door, Naruto found a genjutsu of the Tsuchikage sitting at the desk. "Here we go," Naruto said under his breath as he dispelled the genjutsu. When that was out of the way, Naruto picked the lock to the door of the balcony and opened it. Turning back to Ino, Naruto instructed, "Return back here in 30 minutes. This will require some time." Ino nodded and flew off back to where the girls were. Entering the office, Naruto quietly closed the balcony door shut behind him. Pulling a particular scroll out, Naruto opened and released the cargo sealed into it. Getting to work, he quickly set the cargo up and made sure that nothing was out of place. He also made sure that he left none of his fingerprints behind or anything else that would indicate that the office was tampered with by him specifically. In the meantime, Ino was back inside her own body regaining her strength while keeping the raven close by her. Hinata, using her Byakugan, was surveying the Tsuchikage tower to make sure that no one was making their way to the cage's office. "Is everything alright in there?" Temari asked. "There's no activity of ninjas heading toward the office, though there were a few close calls," Hinata answered. "It's been 23 minutes, Temari went on, "isn't he finished yet? Infiltrating the Tsuchikage tower by himself is downright suicide. Someone's coming up here," Hinata alerted as she surveyed their surroundings. "Shit," Ino cursed, "was our cover blown?" "They don't seem to know we're here," Hinata clarified, "but we can't stay here. Let's move," Temari advised as the two younger girls followed her and departed quickly from the roof they were previously waiting at. Ino was still holding onto the raven. A moment later, the girls found themselves on the surface in an alley. "IWA ninjas are patrolling the roofs," Hinata said while looking around. "We can't return back without being spotted." "Brilliant," Temari remarked. "Now what?" "Let's head over to Ryata's apartment," Ino suggested. "Say what?" Temari replied. "I know where she lives and I can access her apartment," Ino continued. "Remember, I scanned her memories." Seeing Ino's point, Temari said, "Lead the way then." Ino, now taking the lead, led Temari and Hinata to where Ryata's apartment was. She was careful to keep both herself and the girls out of sight. "Where's Ryata's apartment anyway?" Hinata asked. "Back where that tunnel is," Ino said. "The hell?" Temari remarked, "that's back on the other side of this village." "It's that far?" "It's either that," Ino suggested, "or we take our chances moving from alley to alley while trying to keep out of sight and not get caught." Sighing in defeat, Temari and Hinata followed Ino back to the other side of the village, thus increasing the distance from where Naruto was. A while later, the trio found themselves standing by the apartment Ryata lived in. Climbing the wall, the girls made their way over to the window of Ryata's apartment, finding the apartment window both locked and the apartment itself vacant. "I thought you said Ryata lives here," Temari retorted. "She did," Ino shot back. "I guess that Tsuchikage didn't waste time evicting her out of her place and disposing of her things." "Now what?" Hinata asked. "We can't just enter into a vacant apartment. It would arouse suspicion." "Well, we can't stay here," Temari said. "We'll have to relocate elsewhere and fast. Since we're here, let's return back to that old building we came out of," Hinata suggested. "I'm seeing that only Naruto-kun's clones are the only occupants." The girls turned tails and headed to the building. Reaching the door, Hinata spotted two jounins approaching the building from around the corner. "Hurry," Hinata urged, "there are ninjas coming our way." The girls hurried into the building and closed the door behind them just seconds before the jounins passed by. "Did you hear that?" the first jounin asked his female partner. "Not really," the female jounin admitted. "Why do you dash?" There was the sound of something falling heard from inside the building. "Something's inside the building," the female jounin said. "Did you just figure that out, Tsuchiko?" the jounin remarked. "Shut up," Tsuchiko retorted as she and her partner slowly and cautiously approached the building. As they reached the building, they peered through the broken window to see if there was anything moving inside the building. They saw nothing suspicious, but then they heard faint sounds of movement from inside. A black bird suddenly flew from out of the window past Tsuchiko and her partner. "Stupid bird," the male jounin remarked. "I suppose that explains the noise from inside this old building." "Perhaps," Tsuchiko said, "but maybe we should have a look around just to be sure." "And what do you honestly expect to find beside old useless junk?" the jounin asked. "Let's look around anyway," Tsuchiko stated firmly. Her partner sighed. "You're really a pain to work with." "Quit being lazy and let's do our jobs right," Tsuchiko retorted as she opened the door and began the search with her partner. As they looked around they found nothing out of place, at least from what a building filled with wreckage can show. "There's nothing here, Tsuchiko," the jounin said. "Can we go now and continue with our normal patrol route?" "We should at least check the basement," Tsuchiko suggested. "You're not going to find anything of value any more than what's already up here," her partner replied. "This building has been of no use to anyone for years. The only purpose that it serves now is to hold old scrap, and more of it you'll find in the basement. But if you want to waste both of our time, you're more than free to check for yourself." Tsuchiko was thinking about going along with what she originally had in mind. She approached the door to the basement and grabbed hold of the doorknob. As she was about to open the door, she then had a change of heart. "You're probably right," Tsuchiko said. "More than likely it'll be wreckage and old scrap like you said." "So can we go now?" the jounin asked with a partial impatient attitude. "We'll leave, just keep your panties on," Tsuchiko remarked. "How would you know if I wear panties unless you've been secretly stalking me?" her partner shot back. "Shut up," Tsuchiko replied as they exited the building and closed the door behind them. Unknown to them, from right behind the basement door, Naruto's clones stood there ready to take them out at a second's notice the moment they would have opened that door. Luckily that didn't have to happen. Hinata and Temari were in the basement sitting by the tunnel with Ino's limp body being held by Hinata. "Are they gone?" Temari asked. "They are," Hinata confirmed with her Byakugan. "They're no longer in the vicinity of this building." Temari sighed in relief. "I hope Ino returns with Naruto-kun soon. I don't know how many more close calls we can take before we're discovered." Several minutes later, the same raven flew back into the same broken window and over to the basement door carrying a twig in its beak. The cage bushin stationed by the door opened the door as the raven gently placed the twig down on the ground. Naruto changed back to normal as Ino released the jutsu and returned back to her body. The raven, after being released, flew off and out from the building going about itself normal life. Naruto went down into the basement before the clone closed the door behind them and puffed out of existence. Walking over to the girls and the remaining clone, Naruto stated, "The deed has been done." "Your plan is in place?" Temari asked. "Down to every letter," Naruto confirmed. "Let's move." Nodding in agreement, the girls followed Naruto down the stairs back into the tunnel. As the girls entered the tunnel and the clone puffed out of existence, Naruto performed several hand signs and clasped his hands together. What followed next was a loud explosion from a long distance. "What was that?" Hinata asked. "The first half of the closure," Naruto remarked before heading down into the tunnel. "Ino," Temari said, "close the entrance behind us quickly." "No," Naruto countered, "leave the entrance open." "What? But why?" Temari argued. "If we do, then they'll definitely find out about this tunnel's existence and find us." "I know," Naruto said, "that's exactly what I want to happen." "What?" Temari replied in confusion, "but what will that accomplish? I thought we were trying to escape and not get caught." Naruto cut her off as he stopped talking and walking. Temari and the other two girls saw this. "What's wrong?" Hinata asked. "We have company," Naruto said. "My clone puffed out and alerted me that several IWA Chunnins and Jounins are making their way now into the tunnel from the other end. They'll be here soon." Hinata activated her Byakugan and saw that Naruto was right. In fact, she looked back in the direction from which they were moving and scanned the surface of the village. "There's lots of activity happening on the surface above us," Hinata said. "IWA Chunnins, Jounins, and Boulder Black Ops are scrambling all around the village." She turned back and used her bloodline limit to survey outside the village and the rocky plains and hills surrounding it. "There are ninjas moving through and around the hills also," Hinata warned. "It's a dead end." The girls were told by Naruto that he needed their expertise for his business in IWA. They were reluctant about going there, seeing that it would cause possible trouble for their counterparts if they were discovered, but they decided to have faith in Naruto nonetheless. "Do you girls still trust me?" Naruto asked. After a few seconds they wordlessly nodded. "Good," Naruto replied as he pulled out the second of the two scrolls that was in his pocket, because the second half of the closure is now underway. Chapter 70, Necessary Evils. IWA ninjas were hurrying through the tunnel as fast as they could. Clearly unknown enemy ninjas infiltrated and attacked their village. Meanwhile, the populace were in a state of mass panic after seeing that the top section of the Tsuchikage Tower exploded. That dread hadn't been felt since Deidara's betrayal and attack on the tower, killing several and severely wounding their sand-aimed Tsuchikage. No one knew what became of Deidara since, but seeing a repeat of history happening again made them wonder if the attack could be his work. "Uncle," Tsuchiko cried out in fear for the worst. She and the others ran as fast as they could toward the direction of the burning tower. Back in the tunnel. "Keep your eyes open for anything," one of the ninjas warned. "Yes sir," the group said in unison as they continued going further into the tunnel. It was another while until they arrived a little past the midsection of the tunnel. Getting there, the IWA ninjas found three figures in their way. These three figures were geared in clothes and bamboo hats all too familiar to them. They were the same ones worn by the same ninjas responsible for the capture and death of the Jinhiriki of the Gobi. Akatsuki, the lead ninja, sneered, "So you bastards are behind this attack." "And what of it?" The lead Akatsuki ninja spoke with his face hidden from under his hat and cloak. "We had a job to do and it's been carried out." "You scum," the lead IWA ninja snarled, "you'll all pay for this. Worry more about your lives than what we already have done," the lead Akatsuki ninja said before thrusting his heads forwarding and firing diamond shards out at them. Several ninja were unfortunate in getting struck and wounded by the shards, while the others managed to maneuver themselves from out of the attack's range. With widened eyes, the lead IWA ninja barked, "Sujiro! You joined the Akatsuki." Sujiro removed his hat to reveal his face. He dropped the hat to the floor and smiled at his former comrade. "Yes, I'm in the Akatsuki. I've been a covert agent of theirs for some time." "Why?" the IWA ninja demanded to know with mixed emotions of anger, sadness, and betrayal. "Why are you doing this?" "For power," Sujiro replied. "The Akatsuki has great plans and capturing the Jinhirikis is just part of it." "How else were they able to capture the Gobi Jinhiriki?" "It was you all along," the lead IWA ninja growled. "You betrayed us to the Akatsuki since then." "I had to make it seem like I was still on your side, of course," Sujiro said. "What better way to do that than by having Ryota take the blame for the Jinhiriki's capture?" "You mean you set her up?" a female ninja asked. "Why her?" "Because she was the most plausible scapegoat," Sujiro elaborated. "Despite her being loyal to Iwagakure, she had an unfavorable history with Deidara and most of the villagers and ninjas hated her for it. With so much bad blood and tension against her already surrounding her, it was easy maneuvering events so that she would end up taking the fall for my actions while I was covering up my tracks in the process. I knew no one would bother to look into it, seeing that all of you were simply looking for an easy fall guy to put the blame on." "You played us," the female ninja yelled angrily. "You worthless fools only have yourselves to blame," Sujiro remarked. "Bastard," the kunoichi growled, "I'll have your head, traitor." She was about to attack, but the lead ninja stopped her. Turning back to Sujiro, he asked, "Why did you attack the tower?" "The Tsuchikage was a problem that had to be dealt with," Sujiro answered. "After learning that he was seeking out another Jinhiriki to use for his own ambitions, the Akatsuki found that he had to be removed out of the way so that our plans could continue without additional obstacles hindering us." "So you were sent to assassinate our leader," the lead ninja figured. "I was the one he trusted most," Sujiro said, "therefore I was the one who could get the closest to him." "You're truly a disgrace to our village, Sujiro," the leading ninja spat. "I'll never forgive you." "Enough talk," Sujiro replied as he went through a set of hand seals before clasping his hands together. His body started glowing before being completely encased in a diamond body in his shape. "Kill the traitor," the lead IWA ninja ordered before all hell broke out. Back in Konoha. Naruto was returning back to the window of his apartment. Opening it, he entered through it and closed the window behind him. Reaching into his pocket, he retrieved the picture of Kushina that Naruto gave him and set it down on top on his drawer next to his bed. Taking off his clothes, Naruto changed into his sleeping clothes with his nightcap on his head. Climbing into bed, Naruto laid there thinking about everything Naruto told him earlier that night. Knowing what little he could about his mother and the Uzumaki family made Naruto happy in so many ways. He only wished he knew more about his father and who he was. He had more questions about his family's history and answers to his rising questions he wanted all the more. But that was going to have to wait until he had some time to think things out with some well-needed sleep. Closing his eyes, Naruto eventually fell asleep. Later that night, back in the Forest of Death, Hokage Bushin of Naruto was in the house in the living room looking at the digital clock. The clone pulled out a scroll and unraveled it, revealing a seal written on it before setting it down on the ground. He waited until the time struck 2 a.m. after seeing that he had another minute to wait. After that minute passed, the clone performed a hand sign and the burst of white smoke came forth from the seal on the scroll. When the smoke cleared, it revealed Naruto and his 3 girls inside an air bubble Naruto made. Well, that went as planned, Naruto said as he dispelled the air bubble and dusted himself off. As planned, Temari remarked, it was too close for comfort. Yes, it was a dangerous risk, Naruto agreed, but it was one worth taking in order to prevent IWA from using my brother's lineage for their own advantage. Many in IWA will be too shocked in how Sujiro turned on them, Hinata added. We have Ino-chan's contribution to thank for that, Naruto remarked. After Naruto and Ino studied Sujiro's memories, they came across his memories involving his Keshugan, Diamond Eyes, and the jutsus associated with them. After studying how his jutsus work, it was then a matter of immobilizing his consciousness long enough to allow for Ino to control Sujiro's body and give the IWA ninjas a convincing fight before jumping out of his body, allowing the IWA ninjas to finish him off. Dressing Sujiro in Akatsuki clothes was a ploy Naruto came up with to throw IWA off and Konoha's tracks and have them believe that the event involving Ryuta's past disgrace and tonight's incident was the Akatsuki's fault. Naruto made sure to leave no loose ends. When he released the seal in the second scroll in the tunnel, Sujiro's unconscious body came out dressed and geared in Akatsuki clothes and gear. Acquiring the clothes wasn't the problem since Naruto had them secretly made in the event of a deep-covered mission that had to be done. Ino used her Shinton-shin no jutsu to transfer her mind into Sujiro's and control him. While she was controlling Sujiro, Naruto, while cradled Ino's body, backtracked into the basement with Temari and Hinata and hid among the old rumble and scrap heap that helped mask their scent. Ino's regaining consciousness was the signal that the task was complete, given that she had before 2 a.m. to return back to her body before Naruto's clone summoned them all back to the house. Temari smiled, we basically set up a crime organization to take the fall for our actions. But I'm more than certain the Akatsuki will look into this. Even if they do, Naruto pointed out, there would be nothing for them to prove to anyone and it's not like they could do anything about it. After all, they're an organization of wanted felons and who'd really believe them anyway? And besides, in this reality, neither of us exists. Naruto reached into his left compartment pocket on his Jounin vest and retrieved what looked like documents. What are those? Hinata asked. Official copies of Ryuta's discharge and cancellation as an IWA citizen and ninja, Naruto said. Before leaving the Tsuchikage Tower I managed to locate the originals possessing the Tsuchikage's signature and seal on them before making authentic copies of them. I'll have them delivered to Jiraiya first thing in the morning. That's good and all, Ino interjected, but I'm really tired right now from repeated use of Shinton-shin no jutsu. I'd like to get myself cleaned up before going to bed now. Now that you mention it, Hinata said, we all need a shower. I can still smell the foul odor of old debris all over us. The girls went and got themselves washed and cleaned up before letting Naruto have the bathroom. While this was going on, Naruto went and retrieved the scroll for the Hoka Sekai Senshi Kuki Yosufujin. With the scroll in hand, he stepped out of the house and went for a walk alone around the forest. He was in deep thought wondering how he was going to get himself and the girls back home. As long as he was bound to the Hoka Sekai Senshi contract Kano Amaru bounded him to, he and the girls couldn't leave. On top of that, for what Kano Amaru summoned him for, it would take him months if not years to fulfill and that was time he and his girls did not have. There has to be a way for me to fulfill this contract at a much faster rate, Naruto contemplated. People will get suspicious about my long absence. Speaking of which, I wonder how Anko-chan and Ryo-chan are taking our disappearance. No doubt they already reported it to Kaa-chan and there's no telling how she reacted to it. Naruto sat down on a tree trunk and started looking over the scroll thoroughly. The seals written in the scroll were complex and required time to decipher. Despite all that Naruto had done that day, he gave himself little time to rest as he tried to accomplish as much as possible while covering his and the girls' tracks. He had to find a way to return back with the girls and investigate the mystery behind Orochimaru's mysterious return. It eluded him as to how the Snake Sun somehow survived the death trap he was certain that claimed his life. Putting that thought to the side for now, Naruto returned back to studying the scroll. Analyzing the written seals, Naruto saw that a seal of that level was going to require much time and examination. How the hell was Konohamaru able to perform such a dangerous summoning on his own, Naruto asked to know in particular. Looking away from the scroll, he cast his head up toward the crescent moon. He sighed as he tried to come up with a plan of action to get both himself and his female company back to their own world. After another 13 minutes. "Do you actually plan to sleep out here, Naruto-kun?" a feminine voice asked. Snapping out of his trance, Naruto turned to see Hinata standing at his right side in her sleeping kimono. Her Byakugan was activated so clearly she was out looking for him. Technically, Naruto remarked, it wouldn't be the first time those circumstances were different back then. "Why are you out here alone?" Hinata asked. "I just needed time to think things out." "Are you troubled by something?" Hinata asked with concern. "We've been in this world for over 2 days, Naruto explained. "A lot has happened and I still haven't come up with a plan to return us back home." "We'll think of something soon, I'm sure," Hinata responded. "You can't expect to devise a plan of such a sort on your own." Naruto exhaled lowly. "It's been a very long day for all of us, Naruto-kun," Hinata said softly. "The 4 of us can hopefully come up with something in the morning after a good night's sleep." "I suppose," Naruto said before standing back up on his feet. "Let's go back," Hinata smiled. "The others are waiting for the both of us." The pair started back to the house. On their way there, "Teaching Konohamaru is our only ticket out of here," Naruto said. "There must be a way to get around it without actually trying to break the contract." "Well," Hinata replied, "it's a pity you can't leave behind a cage bushin of yourself to do the job for you. Though he would remember and understand just as much as you, however, your copy won't have a permanent body, especially with limited chakra to sustain itself." "A copy," Naruto said to himself as the gears in his head started moving and moving fast. "They was, Hina-chan." Hinata turned to her blonde lover and wasn't able to get a word out of her mouth when he pulled and kissed her deeply, catching her off guard. After a few seconds, Naruto pulled away, allowing the blushing Hinata to catch her breath. "You," Naruto remarked, "are a true genius." "Naruto-kun," Hinata asked in confusion, though she enjoyed the kiss she was given. "Kmin," Naruto said, and he took her hand and pulled her along with him. "We have much work to do." "Can it wait till morning?" Hinata asked as she was hurried back to the house with Naruto, "and besides, you still need a bath. Then you, Ino-chan and Tima-chan can thoroughly wash me down as I explain what I have in mind," Naruto suggested, getting a hot blush out of Hinata. Despite her intimate relationship with the last Namikaze, Hinata still blushed around him. The following day, it was 10:30 in the morning and everyone, civilian and ninja alike, went about their own activities, whatever they were. Tsunade in the meantime was in her office doing some paperwork when Jiraiya appeared at the window. "Tsunade-heim," Jiraiya greeted as he entered the office through the window. The Slug Princess turned to the Toad Sage. "What brings you here?" Tsunade asked. "The Akatsuki," Jiraiya started. "One of their members attacked IWA and killed their Tsuchikage last night. According to my sources, the IWA ninjas managed to overpower and kill him, but not without facing losses of their own." "Why would the Akatsuki go after the Tsuchikage?" Tsunade inquired. "Did they reveal who the attacker was?" "The attacker's identity was revealed to be Sujiro," Jiraiya said. That threw Tsunade in a loop. "Run that by me again," Tsunade replied. "Did I say something out of content?" Jiraiya remarked. "The Akatsuki got set up." We both know that Sujiro was never part of that organization, but a certain someone wants everyone else to believe that he was, and he made it look very convincing to everyone in Iwagakure. Tsunade knew very well whom Jiraiya was talking about. Damn him, Tsunade cursed, I had no idea he'd have taken it this far. If I did dash, he still would have gone through with it, Jiraiya pointed out. You saw yourself how adamant he was about it, and we both saw that he wasn't afraid to fight us if we tried to hinder him. Tsunade, while rubbing the bridge of her nose, noted, he killed a cage of a foreign nation and framed an organization of wanted S-class criminals simultaneously. And had that riot girl discharged and stripped of her entire status in IWA and left in our custody, Jiraiya added. Currently, IWA is dealing with the crisis of appointing a new Tsuchikage while being on the alert of any possible attacks from enemy villages. I must say that Gaki is truly a piece of work. How are we certain that his actions won't be pointed back at us? Tsunade asked. Although little is known about the Akatsuki and what they're truly planning, Jiraiya said, so far, they're known for crimes around the elemental nations, and they have already gone after a Fujin Hirakus. Since they had attacked IWA before, from what my sources have told me, having IWA believe that the Akatsuki was behind last night's attack wouldn't be all that hard to pull off if one makes it look most convincing, and convincing, that Namikaze Gaki made it look. Both we and Kakashi are the only ones who know the truth, and it's not like we're going to go public to clear the Akatsuki's name. What happened last night will only make the Akatsuki's work harder and most likely delay whatever plan they were going to set in motion. I suppose they were necessary evils when you put it that way, Tsunade remarked. Of course, the sage replied, because now we have to deal with the matter concerning Ryota now that she's no longer a kunoichi for IWA. He reached into inside his vest and pulled out some documents that Naruto gave them secretly a few hours earlier. Jiraiya explained to Tsunade about the documents detailing Ryota's discharge and how Naruto retrieved them from IWA last night. Tsunade took the papers and went over them herself. Finding the copies official, the Slug Sunin now had to come up with a plan of action in handling the former IWA kunoichi to see if, by Naruto's suggestion, she would be willing to accept amnesty for past actions under the late Tsuchikage's order and join the ranks of Konoha's shinobis. Do you honestly think someone like Ryota will want to join this village? Tsunade asked her fellow Sunin. Grinning, the pervy sage said in response, if everything that Namikaze Gaki said about her is true, then she'll accept whatever conditions we give her, especially if she wants to be with and around Naruto in the open public without having to hide in the shadows to do so. And since Ryota was officially removed from Iwa's records as a citizen and ninja of their village before the Tsuchikage's death, they can't mark her as a missing nin. From all this, I doubt she wouldn't want a fresh start and new beginning. The blonde Hokage leaned back on her chair and took a breath. I need a drink, Tsunade sighed, things couldn't possibly get any more complicated than it already is, can it? That was when the door to her office opened, revealing Naruto at the entrance. Baa-chan, Ero Sennin, Naruto said as he closed the door behind him, just the two people I wanted to see. Spoke too soon, Tsunade mentally lamented before turning to her surrogate little brother/son figure asked, what's this about Naruto? If it's about being sent to track down Sasuke I'm not here for that Baa-chan, Naruto replied with a calm demeanor. Then what is it you want? Tsunade asked, and make it quick. I'm in the middle of something very important. I'm hoping one of you two here can answer my questions, Naruto said. Is there any records about a kunoichi who went by the name Uzumaki Kushina? Jiraiya and Tsunade sweated nervously, though they did well to hide it. Before either Sunins could voice any objections, Naruto reached into his pocket and showed them the picture of his mother. This woman is my mother, Naruto said. She was a refugee from Uzunokuni after it was destroyed by IWA years ago. I know my father was from this village, though I don't know exactly who he was. Who told you about her? Jiraiya inquired. My Nii-chan, Naruto answered. He told me more her than what anyone else has ever told me about my family and heritage. He didn't tell me who our father was, so I figured he didn't know who he was either. However, he did tell me that our mother married our father in secret. So I'm sure documents about their secret marriage were preserved in Konoha's archives. I was hoping that I could take a look at them to see if my father's name is on those documents. The two Sunins knew that their day wasn't going to be a trouble-free one. They saw that Naruto wasn't going to let them slide easily for everything Naruto went through all his life in Konoha. "Baa-chan," Naruto asked, "is it possible to locate those documents? I know that my parents are already dead, but I at least want to know my father's name if anything after what my Nii-chan said about him." "What did he tell you?" Tsunade asked. "That our father was a very good man and that he loved both me and our mother," Naruto explained. "He said that our father died fighting the Kyuubi on the front line on the night I was born, wanting nothing more than to protect me, my mother and all of Konoha. Though my parents and relatives are dead," Naruto said, trying to keep his emotions in check, "I'm my entire family's only surviving legacy. I'm happy that I know now where part of my family roots came from and that I have familial history in another country. I want to know the rest of my heritage from my father's side." Jiraiya looked at the boy uneasily as a lump grew in his throat. Just last week he was some reckless orphan genin who never once asked about his parents or family members, and now suddenly he wants to know and find out as much as he could. "Damn it, Namikaze," Jiraiya thought, "you're hell-bent on giving us problems, aren't you?" "Naruto," Tsunade said sympathetically, "during Kyuubi's attack many buildings were hit and set ablaze, among them was one possessing the records of many important files about Konoha's civilians and ninjas. Many documents of various sorts were destroyed during Kyuubi's rage, and most possibly the ones regarding your parents. Could you at least try to have those documents looked for?" Naruto asked pleadingly. "No one has ever stepped forward claiming that they found documents concerning Kushina, her family, or her husband," Tsunade added. "They don't even have medical records on her. And since she married in secret as you said, searching for who your father could have been would be a complicated puzzle to put together." The blonde genin cast his head down. He was really hoping that Tsunade would tell him something he wanted to hear, regardless how little it was. "It's okay, Baa-chan," Naruto said, trying to mask his sadness. "I guess I shouldn't have gotten my hopes up too high considering my familial status in this village." Tsunade flinched inwardly on hearing that. Jiraiya felt a hard jab from his conscience. "I'm sorry," Tsunade replied. "It's alright," Naruto said, "at the very least, I now know who my mother is and some things about where and what family she came from, though they had long died. Thanks anyway." Tsunade didn't get the chance to say another word before Naruto turned and quickly exited the office. He didn't want them to see the tears that he struggled to keep from burst out now pouring down his face. After he left, closing the door behind him, Tsunade turned to the Toad Sage. "We can't hide the truth from him for much longer," Tsunade said. "We're going to have to tell him eventually." Only being told by his older brother, who their mother was and not their father, was a clever ploy in getting Naruto to come to us to find the rest of the information, Jiraiya remarked. "That Namikaze Gaki evidently wants that information to come from our own mouths." "We're the closest people to Naruto," Tsunade said. "You're his godfather and his father's former teacher. We both watched as Kushina and Minato grew together and later fell in love. It hurts denying Naruto, who suffered so much all his life, to learn more about his heritage." "I don't like it any more than you, Tsunade-hime," Jiraiya replied, "but the Gaki has too much against him right now. I know it hurts, but we both know that not revealing that information to Naruto at this time is for his own good and protection." Tsunade looked away from her fellow Sunin and asked doubtfully, "Is it?" Meanwhile, Naruto exited the Hokage Tower while wiping the tears off his eyes. He had high hopes that Tsunade would be of help in finding any lost information about his family. But in the end, it turned into a grieving disappointment. "You okay, Naruto?" a voice asked. The blonde turned to see Shikamaru approaching him. Seeing the teen Chiryunin coming his way, Naruto quickly masked his sadness with one of his fake smiles and happy faces. "Yeah," Naruto lied, "I'm just fine. I was just coming from seeing Baa-chan, but she's busy talking to Ero Sennin about something, whatever it was." "Alright," Shikamaru replied, "mind telling me what's really bothering you?" "What are you talking about?" Naruto asked, acting like he didn't know where Shikamaru was getting at. "Your still pinkish eyes gave you away," Shikamaru pointed out. "You were crying and upset about something, and Tsunade-sama had something to do with it, I'm sure." Naruto sighed, seeing that there was no point in lying anymore. "I stood out that badly, huh?" Naruto said. "I must have looked really pathetic." "Don't be so troublesome," Shikamaru remarked. "You wouldn't mind telling me what happened between you and Tsunade-sama that got you so upset, would you?" That is if it's not too personal or private. The blonde genin thought about keeping what he was going through to himself, but he then remembered Tsunade telling him how no one ever stepped forward saying they found anything about Kushina's life in Konoha and Uzunokuni. I went to Baa-chan just a couple of moments ago hoping she could find any information about a particular kunoichi, Naruto started. Shikamaru raised an eyebrow. Which kunoichi in particular, Shikamaru asked, do I or anyone else knows of her? She died a long time ago, but she used to life in Konoha as a war orphan and refugee, Naruto said, causing Shikamaru's eyes to widen briefly before giving Naruto a questioning look. Did this kunoichi happen to be from Uzunokuni? Shikamaru asked. Naruto's head shot up speedily. She was. How did you know? Call it an intuition, Shikamaru remarked. Would you happen to know how she looked like? Pulling out the picture from his pocket, Naruto showed the Nara genius the picture. Taking the picture and studying it, Shikamaru saw the resemblance between the woman in the picture and Naruto. Naruto, Shikamaru asked, wanting to be sure on himself, is this woman dash? Yes, Naruto confirmed, her name was Uzumaki Kushina. She was my mother. The puzzle finally came together for the Nara genius. He now had the final piece in solving Naruto's mysterious and shrouded familial backgrounds. How did you get this picture and dash? My Nii-chan gave it to me, Naruto interjected. He told me some things about our mother. Would you like to share them with me? Shikamaru asked, because I could also tell you stories about my troublesome and bossy mom. Naruto laughed from that comment, which helped lighten his mood. It was the first time he laughed all morning really. Leaving the tower, Naruto started sharing with Shikamaru everything and Naruto told him about Kushina. As he listened, Shikamaru pieced together everything he researched and investigated about Naruto's background and family line. With the added information he was being given, the Nara genius was now able to make sense of everything concerning Naruto's family history, especially after he did some further investigation last night about the Namikaze's history before and after becoming part of Konoha. And that's just about everything, Naruto concluded. I was hoping Tsunade no Baa-chan had any information about my father, but she had nothing on him, not even his name. Shikamaru resisted the urge to frown as he asked, what did she say? Tsunade no Bachan said that all of the official documents about my mother and father were lost or destroyed during Kyuubi's rampage 13 years ago, Naruto explained, and that no one has ever stepped forward saying that they found any information about either my mother or father. Just as I thought, Shikamaru contemplated, a hidden conspiracy. I should have known Tsunade-sama and Jiraiya-sama were in on this also, considering the fact that Jiraiya-sama taught Naruto's father. You really want to know who your parents really were, don't you? Shikamaru said, stating the obvious. I lived my whole life as an unwanted orphan and outcast with no family history, Naruto said. I used to envy so many other children who were lucky to have families and orphans who knew things about their lost families and where they came from. I had nothing of that sort or anything precious left behind for me except a burden I never wanted or asked for. In burden you mean being made into a jinhiriki unknowingly by your own father, Shikamaru thought silently. After so many lonely years, Naruto continued, I was finally given a gift that no amount of money or even the position of Hokage could buy, a history about my family and where they were from. Even though the information was limited, but it was a precious gift, one I will truly appreciate and cherish. I only wish I knew something about my father or found someone who knew anything about him, even if it was just his name. Shikamaru thought about what he should do. He knew he couldn't just come straight out and say he investigated and found out who his father was. He acknowledged that there was no telling how the rest of the villagers would react were they to hear that from his mouth, especially if there were no documented proof of his findings. Well, Naruto said, I have to get going. I have to meet up with Kakashi-sensei and Sakura-chan. Thanks for listening. The Nara heir watched as the hyperactive blonde took off to where he was meeting his team. As he stood there, Shikamaru thought about what Naruto told him earlier. Tsunade no Bachan said, that no one has ever stepped forward saying that they found any information about either my mother or father. Letting out a breath, Shikamaru decided to turn and head straight home. Despite his lazy character, there were some important document reports he wanted to write and submit to Tsunade before the end of the day. I hope Tsunade-sama won't turn into a troublesome woman for this, Shikamaru said to himself under his breath. I already get enough of that from Ino and my own mom. All the while, Naruto was making his way to the ramen stand where Kakashi and Sakura was when he was interested by another Naruto. Hello me, and Naruto said in his henchfor of Naruto. Nii-. Naruto was quickly silent by a gesture and Naruto made. Don't call me Nii-chan in public, and Naruto said, it would draw suspicious attention to us. Sorry, Naruto said sheepishly, why are you here? There's something very important I have to discuss with you but not here, and Naruto said, follow me. But what about Kakashi-sensei and dash? I've already taken care of that, and Naruto interjected, this is more important. Nodding, Naruto followed Naruto to an alley where Konohamaru was waiting. Konohamaru, Naruto asked, what are you doing here? I'll explain everything after we leave here, and Naruto said as he grabbed both of their hands. In a burst of white smoke all three boys disappeared and were teleported to another location. Check the description for the links to the author.